All right, welcome to the show, everybody. This is episode number 220 of the Iron Coop Fights movies. This episode is available on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, and hosted by SoundCloud. I'm Keo, your host. With me on the show today are my co-hosts Emerson.
Hey, what's going on?
And Everett.
Hey, what's up?
This week, the team reviews Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I'm going to explain our rating system. On this show, we give the titles that we have watched a rating of win, draw, or loss. A win is a title that we would highly recommend, while a draw is a title we didn't love, but recognize others may appreciate. A loss means we do not recommend the title. On to our review of the week. Martial arts master Shang-Chi confronts the past he thought he left behind when he's drawn into the web of the mysterious Ten Rings organization. All right, Everett, you want to go first this time?
Sure. You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give this movie a draw. I thought it had a really good aesthetic, and I really liked some of the action scenes and the locations. And I was happy, and I'm probably going to talk a little bit about this, is that I really liked some of the adaptations they made from the comics. I think some of them were necessary changes, and some of them made the quality a little bit better. However, I do think some of the dialogue and pacing were a bit off. Almost like things were speeding up a little too fast towards the beginning of the film. And there were some characters I wasn't a big fan of at times, but I'll talk more about that when I get into spoilers. But yeah, it's just a draw for me.
Okay, Emerson?
So this is an absolute win. This movie is perfect in just every way. It's got excellent pacing. It's got excellent action. The story's really easy to follow. It flows really nicely. You always are like, okay, it's logical what's happening right now. Like, this seems like the correct extension of what we just saw. The dialogue's excellent. The cinematography is excellent. The only weak thing was some of the special effects weren't fantastic, but really, no, I'm just kidding. This movie fucking sucks. This is a hard fucking loss. It's garbage. Everything I just said is the complete opposite. This thing is awfully paced. It's horribly paced, horribly written. It's disjointed. It goes nowhere. It's the most boring aspects of the origin story without taking any risks. It just jumps all over the place. The action scenes are okay and the special effects are fine, but overall it's just really, really bad in every sense of the word. I did not particularly like the acting. I'm not going to say it was bad, but I think most of the issues come from the writing, directing, and pacing. But I think this was just an awful film, and that there was nothing really particularly good about it. I like Simu Liu, okay, and like maybe seeing him with a different director in a different situation in a different movie might be interesting to me. But overall, this was a horrible, horrible film. Hard loss. Rip Iron Fist, he's gone. Rip Hawkeye, he's being replaced. Awful film.
So, I guess I'm a little confused. Have you always been anti-Asian, or?
Yeah, it started in my youth, but no, that's like
Save that soundbite.
The thing is, like, that I feel like would be like the criticism if you don't like the movie. It'd be like, oh, you don't like the diversity. It's like, no, the diversity is great. Like, it's fantastic. It's fine, but it's not a good film just because the actors aren't white. It would be a bad film if they were white. It would be a bad film if they were Hispanic. It wouldn't. It's not a good film.
So, I think the thing is, and there's a lot to unpack here, but people equate the value of the film with the diversity. And they did that with Black Panther, but Black Panther was a better film. So if you go online, you're seeing a couple things where people are praising it because it has Asians in it. And like, that's cool, I guess. They're also ignoring a lot of the flaws because they're so busy praising it for being Asian. And then there's like a smaller group of people who want to directly compare it to Black Panther as a film, but they're really comparing it as a showcase for the race. Like, they're saying like, oh, way better than Black Panther. It's like, why are you saying Black Panther? Why did you say Black Widow or something else? Why did you say Black Panther? Because you're saying the Black movie was not as good as the Asian movie, and you have a problem that the Black movie was like so highly praised. I think that Black Panther was better.
Oh,
but
100%.
it has nothing to do with the fact that they were black and these people are Asian. Which so then the other part that I was going to say is, and we're not really involved with this, but online is just, it's a cesspool.
Yeah, because you've got like ultra racists who are going to slam it for whatever reason. Then you've got people who are like, it can do no wrong because it's a great
white
example
knights,
of diversity. Yeah, and it's like, it's just disgusting. Like, you can't criticize the movie fairly on being a movie without like, oh, you're a racist, or someone adopting like, yeah, fuck those like Asians.
Well, it's that, and it's also the fanboys.
Mhm.
So there's just like people who are, in their defense, are really not that into the whole Asian thing. They just love Marvel.
So just so we're clear, Kia, you gave this a loss as well.
Yeah, I was going to build up to that, but we can talk about it in detail. I think what says the most about this is like if you want a real review, because it's so muddled now. If you're really like, is this movie good or bad? People love it online. If you go online, people love it. My argument is they loved WandaVision. They loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They loved Loki, which was a little bit better than the rest. It almost doesn't get.
They loved Black Widow. They loved everything.
Right. They love Black Widow. Loki, I'll leave that one out because it has a few more merits. But all those other three things, they love them, and they're already forgotten. Like, they just came out. I mean, I guess WandaVision was last spring, right? But in terms of like movie time, these are the most recent things. And they're already just like erased from memory because they bring nothing of value. So when you see people saying that this movie was amazing, and then you hear some people going like, was it though? Guarantee that by the time November rolls around and Eternals comes out, by that time, you will have not heard the word Shang-Chi in a long time. Like,
except for people theory crafting, like, I want to see this person in my next Avengers, and like yada yada yada.
Even that, sorry, I gotta open up the blinds a little. Even that, I think, is not going to, like, it's going to end. This is the opening weekend. Think about it. The opening weekend already, the most of the discussion is based around them being Asian. Like, there's really nothing in terms of like, ooh, I wonder what's going to happen with this character or that character. That's so little, because if you even are excited about what's going to happen with certain characters, you'd have to be kind of an idiot to think that there's anything good coming based off the foundation that they laid here. All you really walked away with was Shang-Chi can do karate or whatever, like whatever martial art it's supposed to be. I don't know. That's basically what you walk away with. Let's go into spoilers.
Right. But just to be clear, so I can get some reinforcement here, you agreed that it was a horrible film.
I don't even think you could call it horrible. It's like nothing. It has like no value. Like, I honestly, I swear, there was a time where I used to see all of these Marvel movies 3 times to analyze them and to like think about, because to me the most interesting part was not necessarily the superhero part, which I like superhero movies, but it was the cohesive universe. And every time they introduce a new character, it's like balancing that character with the universe you've set up in terms of powers and levels and storytelling and origin. And then how, once you've set it up, how do you find creative ways to branch it back into the other stuff? All of that to me, and it's still like Marvel's still the only people doing it. That part is the most interesting part. So now that we're in spoilers, the ending was the most interesting part to me of the whole movie. Of like, he's now interacting with the other people. I was still disappointed and all that, but this movie is just such a like dead on arrival. Like, you get nothing from it. The character sucks. The power sets are bizarre and uninteresting. Like, you could say you like watching the kung fu or whatever you want to call it, but there's better movies that do that much better. Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't see much of value in this entire thing other than, what are the 10 rings? Like, where did they come from? Like, that's kind of the only question that I care about. So, I mean, I could go on and on. So you guys feel free to.
Well, one of the criticisms that I had sort of like what you were saying is that if you took out the very few amount of references to the rest of the Marvel universe in this film, you'd never know this was a Marvel movie. There were very few and they were very vague as well.
Well, the constant forced humor is kind of a clue.
Yeah, that was another thing. I'm not. I think I've said it before that I'm not a big fan of that improv-y type of humor.
I got my.
Yeah, he just slides in frame. I was like, what the fuck?
You got your
it's Ebony Maw.
Figure?
Yeah, he's cool. He looks good.
Okay, what was I saying? Okay, so yeah, I'm not a big fan of that improv-y type of humor where you stick an actor on screen. Yeah, like it's the same thing Melissa McCarthy does, where you stick a character on screen and you just have them riff until they do something funny. They did it in Thor Ragnarok. They did it here. It's not funny. It feels like they're trying too hard.
It's what I would call like corporate humor, in the sense of like, it's very like, yes, it's like what you're saying, they're trying too hard, but it's also like it's like bland. A lot of the Marvel movies have had decent humor, I would say, in like their histories. But
I'm actually getting more mad as we talk about it.
Good. But like, yeah, a lot of the Marvel movies have had decent humor. Like they've had funny beats, but it wasn't this type of humor. And what I was going to say, like in regards
which humor?
Like there are moments in Iron Man 1 or Civil War or Avengers that are like, okay,
so,
funny.
So it's like the Russo brothers are good with the writing. They know how to make the fun, the comedy, like go a little more into it without be too overbearing. The Russo brothers are good at it. Then you're talking about Robert Downey Jr. riffing. So those are two specific talents that the MCU has come to be associated with in terms of humor.
Mm-hmm.
What comes to mind when I think of it is like, at least in the other films, and like, okay, you know, like the concept that people say like comedy is subjective. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think what makes you laugh is subjective, but there's an art to making people laugh, like comedic timing and writing and stuff like that. Like all these things that blend together to make you laugh.
It's also very difficult.
Yeah, it's also very difficult. In the other films when I'm thinking about what made me laugh, thinking like, because I watched Infinity War the other night.
I'm here. I'll be right back.
Slight jokes, like when Rocket says like, let's be honest, you're one sandwich away from fat, and they start running with that a little bit. Or, you know, like in Avengers, like Joss Whedon, I didn't think was that good at it at times, but some of the jokes were okay, but they worked better. In this, like I said, it's kind of like a word vomit almost. They talk a lot, they do it for too long, and it gives you the feeling that the characters aren't really taking the situation that seriously.
Yeah, and just to try to put some praise in, because I'm gonna just trash on almost every aspect of this. I don't dislike really any of the actors. Like I like Simu Lee, I like his sister. I don't even particularly dislike Awkwafina. I don't like that type of character though. I've never liked that type of character.
And what is that type of character?
The like sidekick,
Asian?
funny. Nice Kia. The sidekick, funny, like constantly riffing.
Yeah, I agree.
Though I don't like that type of.
And that's her whole thing.
Yeah,
that's like what she does in every movie.
I know, but it's not like.
Have you guys seen Crazy Rich Asians?
You know what? I actually praised her in Crazy Rich Asians, and now I kind of want to go back and see how wrong I was.
No, well, I was just gonna say, this movie is almost like that because they have a lot of the same actors. It's like that, but they just made them superheroes instead. It's almost like.
But that's the thing. Like, I don't like that type of character. But like, you know, like I know Kia, you were a big fan of the Mandarin. You were a big fan of like him. Like, yeah, I like him. I don't mind any of the actors, but the writing, the pacing, the directing is. What is happening?
I choked on the coffee.
This is the last episode. Kia's going down.
But why do you call him the Mandarin?
That's what he is he not?
Well,
I thought he kind of shit on that whole thing, didn't he?
He shits on a little, but I don't remember what his actual character name was.
His name is Wenwu.
Wenwu. Okay, yeah, like I like Wenwu.
But he's not the Mandarin. He's like I hate the Mandarin. It's an orange.
Yeah, but like he is though. Like that's where the comic inspiration. The rings.
Right. Yeah, I know, but he's not. I mean, Everett, is that one of the things you thought was better?
Well, sorta. I mean, I was going to talk more about the concept of the rings in general, even though their power set's a little.
Everson was making a point, so go ahead.
Yeah, but the point I was trying to make is like, well, I like most of the actors individually. the writing, the pacing, the directing was so bad that they're worthless. The opening of the movie is just exposition, like horribly, horribly obvious exposition. I've been your friends for 10 years. Remember when we met and we did this thing? Or remember when this happened? Like, remember when I tell you this very specific thing that will come up later? Like,
it's that line I said last week, tell, don't show, that like shitty things
they do that for the half the movie. And then it's just like really awkward flashback scenes and like just disjointed storytelling. It just made it not a fun experience. Me and Kia, when the movie was over, Kia was like, this movie felt really long. And I was like, yeah, it did feel really long.
Did you think that, Everett?
Sorta. I mean, it kind of all blended together at some point.
I thought it was like fucking long as shit.
I was expecting to get out of the theater at like 10:30. And when I looked at the time and it was like just turned 9, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
My showing was at 10:15. I got out of the theater at like 1 a.m.
Our showing, like,
I don't know. That's weird.
Started at 6:45.
It was like trailers and stuff.
But the movie didn't actually start till like past 7.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you don't count like the credits, the movie's under 2 hours. It did not fucking feel like that. It did not. But our theater ate it up. I just want to point that out. The theater seemed to love the movie.
They liked a lot of the dumb jokes.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny you guys mentioned that, because now that I think about it, I didn't have that many people in my theater. Like, I want to say I had about like 15 in like a pretty big theater, but most often when I see Marvel movies, people like eat it up, like what you're saying, like they laugh and, you know, they giggle and they talk a little bit.
It's family-friendly humor.
Yeah, mine was completely silent. Not
Ours
a single
wasn't.
word the entire time.
I don't think that there's a problem with them laughing, because even though the humor is not necessarily my favorite, it's not like it's bad humor, because that's subjective. So, like, when people think that that's funny, okay, fine. It's meant to be like moments of levity in the script. That's why the Russo brothers are so good at putting it at the right time. Like when Cap kisses Peggy's niece, or his niece, whatever that is now. Sharon, is that her name?
Yeah. And Winter Soldier and Falcon are like nodding.
Like that's funny to me. That's like more humor than like say a random line.
Yeah, I agree.
Do I don't know, a wacky thing. Like, I don't care about that.
It's also kind of subtle, because they do that all pretty much without any dialogue.
Well, like in Infinity War, when like Tony Stark's trying to lay down the plan to Peter Quill, and like you get that moment where he's like, okay, these guys are idiots.
Yeah, that's funny. He doesn't make a joke. He doesn't go, okay, idiots, come around. Like,
yeah,
he gets, you see the look on his face. And
based on the context and based on what he's doing, you're like, oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah, and it's also sad because it's character based. It's like he's frustrated and stressed, and these are the morons he has to work with. That is also comedic. It's also like part of the character in the story. So, and so was like the whole Cap kissing Sharon thing, where his two friends are like cheering him on, even though they hate each other, they're both still his friends. And that's what it's communicating to you. It's also funny.
And then there's that moment when like Winter Soldier's asking Falcon to put his seat up, and he's like, no. And he's like, I hate you, or whatever. Like, that's humorous. Like,
and it's also true. Like, it's the characters.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a joke in this movie? Because I don't remember a single one.
I know there was a ton of jokes, but none of them were particularly funny to me.
Yeah, they were like surface level. Like,
the other thing that this is actually a good segue into surface level. This movie takes zero risks, in the sense of like, there were these moments when I could like, something would happen to Kia, would be like, God fucking damn it. Like, Awkwafina almost dies. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. She's going to die. And I know Kia was excited, because the minute she gets saved, Kia goes, come on.
I was excited because I'm like, there's no way they're going to kill her off now. But if they did, that would turn the movie on its head. And then maybe this movie was actually genius. Like, they were setting you up to think this is going to be your generic Marvel adventure. And then in the middle of the movie, they just completely turn it upside down. Like, his heroic antics get his friend killed. How is he going to deal with that? Like, the movie's going to change completely. And if they had purposely tried to lull you into like, fun Marvel bullshit, I was like, in my mind, I was like, this could be like fucking genius.
You know,
but of course they don't do it.
No,
of course they don't.
They refuse. Like, to me, Marvel movies are like Lunchables. You guys know Lunchables?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's like, it's not a sandwich, but technically they gave you some meat and some cheese and some crackers like to be the bread, and it's like every box is the same, and they just keep making it with that same
And
formula.
the more you eat them, the worse they get.
Now here's the thing though, where I realized like I don't actually think I like the MCU anymore. And I know
Really?
we've discussed that in some ways, but when you think about the movies that we liked, like truly like what makes you want to watch the MCU? I already said part of it was the cohesive um, universe. So
Mhm.
like I saw Iron Man, I thought it was okay, the same year as Dark Knight, and I was like, Dark Knight's a much better movie. Now I'm not so sure actually, but I wasn't blown away by that. Iron Man 2 really sucked in the theater. It
Mhm.
works better now as you've grown accustomed to those characters and seeing them again like as they meet. But the first time you're like, this is Black Widow's stupid. And Vanko is stupid. And Don Cheadle as War Machine is not as good as Terrence Howard. And you know, you have a couple cool scenes, like he puts the suit on and it's like, okay, it's just popcorn filler stuff. Fine. Thor is not a great film, in my opinion. It's okay. It's not great. Captain America is interesting, but they gave you World War II with like kid gloves on. Like it could have been something really special. Like imagine if like Steven Spielberg had directed that
Mhm.
and like given it like the Saving Private Ryan treatment. I know it's a superhero film, but like you could have done more there, right? So fine, none of these really attracted me. Then Avengers comes out. I didn't even see it. I was kind of wrapped up in Dark Knight Rises and my disappointment in that. I didn't even see it in theaters. And I watched it on TV and I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. Like they're bringing them together. And then it starts to spread out with Iron Man 3, which again, it was not the greatest film, but it was okay. Thor the Dark World was okay. Like I like certain elements of it, but it's not a blockbuster. And most people hate it, although they haven't seen it in a long time. I didn't even mention Incredible Hulk, which they recast. Winter Soldier was the one that where I was like, this is pretty cool. And look, this character went from like that first movie that I liked, the first Avenger, and then he went into Avengers, which I thought was not bad. And now he's doing like an even cooler movie with the Winter Soldier. And yeah, there's some of that comic book bullshit, like how does Bucky survive and whatever. But the universe was there. Like Nick Fury shows up, and so that's what got me interested. Then from there, I started to get hooked. I was really excited for Age of Ultron. It was kind of a letdown, but still kind of a fun thing. I like Spider Man. I thought Civil War was great. Black Panther was a good movie. I like the first Ant Man. But when you think about what is left that initially got us into it, Steve,
Very
Rogers,
little.
Steve Rogers is gone, and the Russo brothers are gone.
And Iron Man's gone.
Iron Man is gone. Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man is gone. Ant Man, which most people don't like that first one, had a shitty sequel. That's gone too. I mean, of course, there could be miracles.
Hulk has changed from what he was into something else. Black
yeah,
Widow's gone.
if you like Hulk, and Hulk to me is fine, but he's not why I come to the theater.
Right, but like think about that initial team up. The characters are all either gone, like dead, or they've changed into like something that is totally different.
But I'm saying less about the characters and more about the quality of what was going on, where they were branching out and doing exciting things.
I think that was linked somewhat. You can say it's not, but I think the way they handled those characters to get people into it and the type of directors and the path they were going down, like there was a plan there.
They were carving out a path.
Yeah. And then, but what I'm saying is like, that's gone now. Like the Russo brothers had a vision of some type that was like, that came to fruition. Okay. And that's gone. And now it's like new people are taking over and it's going in a different direction.
But here's the thing, like they carved a path, but now it's an open road. Like there's no resistance to it. So when you had to take care to like, how are we going to introduce this character and combine it with the other world? Russo brothers did it well. They're gone. Captain America, I liked him. He's gone. Ant-Man has basically like had one good movie and one bad movie. Black Panther was good. Chadwick Boseman is gone. Chances are that that's going to harm the script. Like, despite their best efforts, that's probably going to be like the end of that in terms of like good quality. And so no more Black Panther. I like Spider-Man. As of now, the creative team is still intact. So that was one to look forward to, Spider-Man.
But the trailer.
But besides that, people talk about Kevin Feige as like he's the guy. Yeah, he did it logistically, but in terms of content, like there are a lot of questionable things that he allowed, like creative, like so their plan at Marvel is to find a director who did something good that wasn't like a blockbuster, and then give them a Marvel movie. So
Right.
they're somewhat proven. They're not totally proven. It's not like Steven Spielberg or someone like that or Ridley Scott. It's and there are exceptions, like they cast or they hired Sam Raimi, right, for Doctor Strange. So
Right.
like there's some of that, but you look at this plan where they pick amateur directors and they get amateur work and they just keep doing it. Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm trying to remember more, but I honestly don't even like. They're so forgettable. Black Widow is garbage. Shang-Chi, another one that's just like comes and goes. There's nothing to it. What other movies am I forgetting? That
We talking about like amateur directors or just like kind of shitty quality in general?
I'm talking about movies that are extremely forgettable. Like we talk about how the MCU is like this great thing. We're really talking about we're talking about the Russo brothers, and we're talking about Black Panther, and we're talking about Spider-Man. Like for most people, it's that, right? People like Thor Ragnarok, they say it's funny. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about story. They're not talking about quality because many of those aspects in that film are garbage. So you look at that, like, are you going to get quality storytelling in Thor: Love and Thunder? Probably not. You're just going to get comedy.
Okay, well, here, going real quick, just I'm going to go as fast as I can, just down the line. So you had Iron Man, then you had Incredible Hulk, you had Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America First
Are
Avenger.
you asking me to like?
Well, I'm listing them off, and you can stop me if you hear something. Captain America First Avenger, then you had the Avengers, then you had Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark
See,
World.
the Avengers was like the coming out party.
Mhm.
Like it was like proving like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Like we did it. Like it was a big achievement, but it's also like the implications of the fact that we brought these heroes together in this movie could mean so many better things. And I would say that that was realized with Infinity War and Endgame. Of course, it
Mhm.
could have been better in my opinion, but that was realized. But go
Right.
ahead, keep going. What else?
Okay, so from Avengers, you had Iron Man 3, you had Thor the Dark World, Captain America Winter Soldier, which
Good.
was then you had Guardians of the Galaxy,
People like
then
that.
You had Age of Ultron.
That's not a good movie.
Okay. You had Ant-Man.
But to be fair, they gave Joss Whedon a second chance after he did well on the first one, and Joss Whedon didn't do a good job. So you can say like Kevin Feige then corrected that mistake by going with the Russos. So like you give him credit for that, right?
Yeah.
Ant-Man was a good film too. Like that was a good one. Like here's a new hero. Here's how we remember how they like took care to make him fight Falcon to sort of show you like what power level he was on, and then he's grown in power since then.
Mhm.
That's good. That's good stuff. That's good world building. Anyway, keep going.
Okay, so from Age of Ultron, we had Ant-Man. You already made your note on that. Civil War,
Amazing.
Doctor Strange.
Also really good and underrated for some reason.
Then you had Guardians 2.
Which is not as good.
Okay.
Right?
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Was also a good start. Like I think it's grown better with time now that they've proven themselves even more.
Yeah. Then you had Thor Ragnarok.
It's just comedy. There's no quality. Like there's nothing that's going to make me want to go to the theater other than like I just want to laugh, which it's not funny when you ruin a story. Like so, whatever.
Okay, then you had Black Panther.
That was a good one.
Then you had Infinity War.
I saw Black Panther like 5 times in theaters. That's how much Jade loved it.
5 times.
I need to watch Black Panther again.
We went a lot of times. She took her mom. She took her friend. I think we took Claudia once out. Like, and then it came back into theaters. Like, remember all the Marvel movies came back before Endgame. We saw them. We saw it again. I saw Avengers 1 in the theaters that time. Go ahead.
Okay, so after Black Panther, you had Infinity War,
which was good. Yeah, Russo brothers. Like, you know, I have my problems, but.
Then you had Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Garbage.
Garbage.
I mean, I like Paul Rudd, right? Like, and I even like Evangeline Lilly, but that was who. When was the last time you heard anyone say Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Well, here's the problem. I spend a lot of time on the Marvel Studios subreddit where it's just random nerds who are like mentioning, like, remember this hidden gem? And everyone's like, oh my God. Like,
you got to get off there. I think I might leave that sub. I can't deal with it.
I have a comment to make about something like that, but after I'm done with the list. So Ant-Man and the Wasp, then you had Captain Marvel.
Another just generic turd of a movie.
And it could have been, well,
you know what I think about randomly is that Ronan was in that movie and how they wasted him. I don't even like Ronan, but something about how what they did is like, why would you put him in the movie? Like, how amateurish do you have to be to bring that character in and to literally do nothing? Like, you don't look at your script and go, oh yeah, this Ronan character, yeah, he does nothing. Like, why did you even bring him? Why would that idea even come to your head if you had no ideas? Like, he literally just has to appear, and that's good enough for most people.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Okay, then there's only a few left. So we had Captain Marvel, then you had Endgame.
Which was, it had to be whatever it had to be. The Russos did their work. That's gone. Captain America is gone.
Yeah. Then you had Far From Home.
Iron Man is gone. Far From Home was great. Spider-Man is the only thing left of all of that. Everything there that was like getting me excited. Spider-Man is the only thing left.
Yeah. Okay. So then on that point, looking at this, so Far From Home was the end of phase 3. At the beginning of phase 4, you have Black Widow and Shang-Chi, both of which we've all discussed as being terrible movies.
Trash.
Then of all the upcoming films, the next one to come out is Eternals. And then after that is
sure is
Spider-Man.
going to be garbage.
I mean, I'm guessing that some of the Eternals will die, and that might make it an interesting film. It almost seems to me like the Eternals, it would have been a better movie if the Eternals were like heroes that kind of failed to do their job, and then someone who had a problem with that was trying to kill them off. Like, how do you kill an eternal being?
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. Remember, you had a really interesting idea for Shang-Chi.
I know. We'll talk
sounded
about it.
Cool.
I know.
That it was like,
I know.
Nope,
I shouldn't even say anything because then I get mad when it's like, but
I've actually been kind of thinking about Eternals because I got really mad because I was thinking about it. Because their whole shtick is like, we can't interfere unless it's a deviant attack. And I thought to myself, so like there were rumors that they were going to talk about like
Pokemon, like weird robotic Pokemon, like
like Celestials and weird shit.
Yeah, I didn't like how they looked in the trailer.
But my thought process was, are they going to pull the bullshit? Because there were rumors that they were going to talk about Thanos' origin. I'm wondering, like, are they going to do the whole we couldn't interfere in Infinity War and Endgame because it wasn't a deviant attack?
Yeah, obviously,
but then they find out
in the trailer.
But then they find out that Thanos was really a deviant, and they feel guilty about it.
They probably will, because that offers like no consequences. Like, they don't have to do anything if they find out. They could just be like, oh. And that's the kind of writing that we can expect now. That's the level of writing where they just, I don't know, man. But yeah, I think that would be cool if like the Eternals were being hunted somehow.
Yeah,
which is not going to happen.
No, it's going to be like them being amazing the whole time. And no one questions like, so what does it mean that they're like gods essentially, and there's 8 of them? Like, what
every character is immortal now. Every character is immortal now. Shang-Chi's dad, immortal. The Eternals, immortal.
Yeah, it's lazy writing.
So there's the Eternals. What else is coming up? You have a list?
Yeah.
Is it on
so there? Eternals. After that,
we got to talk about WandaVision. That was,
okay. Well, yeah. If you want to step into the Disney Plus stuff, yeah, we had WandaVision.
I like Scarlet Witch, but it's like I don't want to watch. You made a whole show about Scarlet Witch becoming Scarlet Witch, and there was only one thing that you added to that she's actually a witch, whatever that means. That was what you added to that whole thing. And the logic didn't make sense. The show was horribly inconsistent. A lot of filler episodes. I mean, what is this? What I'm showing up? Is this what I like? Because I just hit me yesterday. Like, the things I like about this are no longer there.
I mean, you know what kind of sucks is like you're making these points, but I mean, this kind of existed before. Like, remember when we were reviewing all the Netflix shows? Remember how awful like?
But they were good at a point. They were good.
They were good at a point, but they kind of shit the bed at some point. Also, like Iron Fist wasn't great.
They shit the bed, but the thing was, like, the Netflix shows, it was like, all right, they don't have the budget. They don't really know what they're doing.
Netflix cut them down. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, so we kind of understood, like, yeah, this sucks, but like, we weren't expecting a ton. Like, realistically, aside from like Daredevil and like Jessica Jones initially, Luke Cage and Iron Fist were not phenomenal even at their best.
Total garbage. Yeah.
True.
And then, Punisher season 1 was good. Yeah. But like, it wasn't like, holy shit.
And season 2 was off a cliff.
Yeah, that season 2 was bad. Yeah, that was horrible.
Let's see him become the Punisher 4 times in a row.
But the thing that I'm saying is that like with the Netflix shows, it was sort of like, okay, well, they didn't have the budget or they're being mandated to do this stuff. Like there were reasons that we were like, yeah, it sucks, it's garbage, but it is what it is. Now it's like we're seeing this thing where, hey, this movie that made $1 billion is horrible.
Right.
And they're just going to keep doing it because why wouldn't they?
Right.
You know what I feel like? The whole concept of it started great, but then it kind of squandered its potential towards the end. I feel like that's a really great analogy for the entire MCU at this point. It was started great. It had a couple hiccups in the middle.
It started with a great movie, and then it had a couple bad ones, and then an okay one, and then the Avengers was the hit. That was when they actually hit their stride.
But then, like now that you're at the end point, and you've completed your 10-year mission, you've done Infinity War, you've done Endgame, you're now in that new section. I'm assuming they're going to come out with a lot more movies because this doesn't really feel it. Because I'm going to go down the list again in a sec. There's a lot more movies.
So what's next? And include the Disney stuff.
Okay, so if I'm because the Disney Plus stuff isn't here, but if I'm thinking, so we had WandaVision, we had we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, wasn't great.
Right.
We have Loki. We have
Loki,
What If.
Loki was good, but now that they're trying to throw it into a second season, it's like you could have told a better story with just one season and actually like really made something substantial. Instead, you're going to drag this out for 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay, so then we had What If, it's okay so far in my opinion.
No, it's not. It's just stupid. It had one good episode so far, if you ask me.
Okay.
One episode that wasn't like fan service.
And then in terms of upcoming for Disney Plus, if I remember, I know Hawkeye's coming out.
No. We already have an Archer. We don't need Hawkeye anymore.
Yeah, we have a new Archer.
Aquafina's an Archer.
There's going to be a big fight between Aquafina and whatever her name is. I forget. What's the girl?
Haley
Hawkeye?
Steinfeld?
No, but what's her character name? Everett, you should know.
Hawkeye?
I'm staring at the book. There's the female Hawkeye. What's her name?
I don't remember. I just know her as Haley Steinfeld or Hawkeye.
She's got the dark hair.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Doesn't she go by Hawkeye?
I just like to point out we haven't even been discussing the crap of the movie yet.
It starts with an S. I know. It's because I'm like trying to calm myself down. What's the female Hawkeye's name? I can't believe
Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop. There you go. I was thinking S isn't from Bishop, but yeah.
Do you guys think that's a reference to when Magneto says in chess the pawns go first? New theory confirmed. Kate Bishop is the son of Magneto.
So, all right, Hawkeye. What else?
Okay, Hawkeye. So then moving away from Disney Plus. So we already said Spider-Man went away home. I think that's the best potential for the future so far.
And because of John Watts, because of what he did with Far From Home, and like in hindsight, Homecoming was a pretty good setup. Mm-hmm. Fantastic Four, which is also doing. That's like the other thing on my radar.
Yeah. Okay, so down from Far From Home, you have Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
And I don't know how to feel about this because Scarlet Witch is in it, and I'm like, is it going to be? And is it just like we're going to just shoehorn her in?
And also, Doctor Strange looks like a different Doctor Strange in the Spider-Man trailer than the one that I like.
I like Sam Raimi, but I wonder if he's just like, I'm just going to come in and phone it in.
Or I don't want to see him being like a wacky, like, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm messing up. Like, and maybe the trailer's portraying it wrong, but if they like give Doctor Strange the Thor treatment, that's not.
Yeah. Well, remember Sam Raimi, he did the Spider-Man movies and he did manage to capture the essence of Spider-Man, of Peter Parker, even though he's a horror director primarily. So when he took on this Doctor Strange thing, I think he was thinking like he could add some cool horror to it. I just wonder, are they going to push him into the box? Because his style of humor suited, I mean, I don't even know that it was his style. Whatever humor he used for the Spider-Man movies suited Peter Parker. And so I wonder, like, does he know how to do that for Doctor Strange, or is he going to be forced into the Marvel generic, like cookie cutter, quippy bullshit? So that one's like mildly on my radar. So what else?
All right. So after Doctor Strange, you have Thor: Love and Thunder.
It's just comedy. I'm just looking for the outfit to see if it'll make a cool figure. I don't care about anything else.
Agree. After that, you have Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
it's going to be butchered. I think. I think that's a hard one to come back from. It's probably no one's fault, but
After that, you have the
the
Marvels.
only interesting thing would be if Killmonger from What If somehow shows up and becomes Black Panther.
I'm more excited about Namor if they introduce him somehow.
I have no faith in them introducing characters anymore. I think that ship is sailed.
All right,
like,
which
to do it
sucks
properly.
because like that was going to be like my comment later on was Marvel sort of has like a blank slate right now where they have all these properties now that they've acquired from all these other places and they have the possibility to make them great, but unfortunately due to some constraints it's like almost not possible anymore. Like what we used to like does not exist in a way that we know anymore, at least.
I mean, they just introduced Shang-Chi and like, do you even know him? It's very similar to Captain Marvel. Like, what is his personality actually? Can you guys tell me? We couldn't do it for Captain Marvel either. She was kind of spunky, kind of mean.
He doesn't give up.
He's kind of got that similar origin story to Winter Soldier,
right?
Right? The assassin that wants to be a normal guy.
Which is dumb.
But okay, we need to get to the movie here.
Well, hold on. I want to go through what else is there.
Okay, so after the so you have the Marvels, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Guardians 3.
Who cares?
Fantastic Four.
Guardians 3 will be on par with the second one. I'm going to assume.
And then these are the last few. These are the future ones that are undecided. Yeah, you have a Blade movie, you have an untitled Deadpool film.
Trash.
Untitled Captain America sequel.
Trash.
Untitled mutant-centered film introducing the X-Men, and that's it.
We'll see. I just want to see them like be in the school. If they're gonna send them to space and shit, I don't care. And then there's also like the Marvels, that movie.
Yeah, I said that earlier. I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then there's gonna be Miss Marvel on Disney Plus, and like
Armor
Wars, and yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like
Moon Knight.
Yeah, at least I'm forgetting all these. These aren't on the list.
If every episode, if every show is going to be like filler and generic and forgettable, and all the good stuff is gone, I don't know what we're doing for this. I was thinking like I buy all the art books because I like to see the design and how they planned it, and I was really thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't think I want the Shang-Chi art book. It would even look cool. Like they have some cool visuals in the movie. But it's like there's no substance to the movie. I'm not going to spend $30 to $40 on the art book and say Shang-Chi is on my shelf. Like it was bad. It was a stupid movie.
Yeah, here's my thought process real quick is at least in why I'm still sort of excited for the MCU is like you guys know I'm a big comic fan, and that's basically a lot of my complaints in a lot of the movies is like how comic accurate it is. Like I'm one of those people, but I don't really take it that seriously at this point. I've learned to try to accept what movies are now, but I like the MCU because of the aesthetic. Like that's why I've started collecting the figures. Thank you, Kia, because I like the way they look. That's a way that I can express my love of comic books now having those. But Marvel now has these like really big issues where not only are they have to like conform to make other people happy. Like they have to sort of bend the knee to China in some ways, which doesn't make the movies that great. But one of their biggest problems is they've worked 10 years to make it to where they are now. Everybody loves the MCU. You have all these comic book fans. You have all these people that go see the movies no matter what. You've now attained that level of almost superiority in the movie industry. And for a fact, the same thing that happens with Star Wars, same thing that happens with The Mandalorian. You get basically lazy on your throne up so high. You do not have to worry about people going to see this movie. You don't have to worry about what you're going to do. People are going to see it regardless.
Right.
So why bother making good content if it's a sure thing every single time?
I mean, I can't believe I'm saying, like, I saw Doctor Strange 3 times in the theater. I didn't even really know the character, but I could have waited on Disney Plus for this. I could have waited 45 days. Yeah. What did we even see?
No, you're forgetting that we saw a trailer for a film.
Okay, let's talk about that trailer for a second. What was Dear Evan something?
Dear Evan Hansen.
Did you see that trailer, Everett?
No, I don't think so.
Everett, it's one of these like movie trailers that it seems like it's going to be one of those God movies. Like it has that tone and vibe to it, where
Okay.
the kid's like a loner and he's like searching for answers. And I'm like, okay, something's gonna happen. He's gonna like believe in God and it's gonna change his life. And that's whatever. And I'm like, why is this in front of Shang-Chi? But whatever. So what happens is he writes a letter that's something like, is he Evan?
I think he's Evan Hansen, or
He
maybe the
wrote a
guy who kills
letter
himself.
to himself, and his like mentally unstable friend sees the letter and gets upset by it. I don't know what the letter says. And then he kills himself.
What?
And his parents think that the kid wrote the letter to his friend Evan, when in reality Evan wrote it to himself and is kind of the reason that the kid killed himself. I don't know why. So you're like, wow, this movie is like, this is just the trailer,
Yeah,
by the way.
but then his life like takes off because the other dude kills himself. He like gets friends, gets a romantic interests.
So,
he's like in charge of the memorial.
The movie becomes a comedy, except they still think it's like a drama. So it shows him like his parents are like, thank you for being our son's friend, and they like hug him, and then he's like up in front of the school giving the eulogy, and like the guy's sister is like making out with him and shit. Like
What?
Emerson said it. That guy dying was the best thing that ever happened to this kid.
I don't even know what the hell you're describing. This is all in one trailer.
Yeah. It was long as fuck. And then at some point in the movie, I guess his secret comes out that he wrote the letter to himself, which is like, how do you even get mad at that kid for that? It's like, it's the dumbest thing. If that kid kills himself over something like that, he would have done it over anything. And
it just kind of makes me think, how does someone come up with a concept like this?
You know, they're trying to write stories for like kids and suicide and, you know, all that shit. But yeah, that was a hilarious trailer. I will say the Eternals trailer looked better on the big screen, but I don't care about the deviants at all, and that's kind of a problem.
I'm kind of bummed that they didn't show the Spider-Man trailer in my theater.
I didn't see it
either.
Okay, let's talk about the movie. I'm going to put forth this idea. The main character of this movie is Wenwu, and nobody that made the movie knew it. That's the problem in a nutshell. What do you think, Ever? I told Emerson that already.
So you think Wenwu the Mandarin is the main character?
He is the main character. Like, by data, he is.
You know what's kind of ironic is you say that. I have in my notes that I wish I saw more of him because he's almost like basically like delegated to a cameo almost. He's like almost not in the movie.
Wenwu?
He's like absent a lot. I wanted more of him.
Present day, but it's all flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So you if you think about, like, imagine you take the story of his life that you see in the flashbacks and is retold and all that, and you actually make that the movie. That's a better movie. Because what you've done is you've essentially tried to tell that same story, except from Shang-Chi's point of view, where he's just like kind of along for the ride. I mean, this movie's so fundamentally broken that I don't even know where exactly to begin, but it's a bad sign if your main character doesn't show up until like 20 minutes into the movie, which that's an estimation. But think about how much time they spent on that intro to Wenwu.
Yeah.
When they do that, Everett, that's usually in sequels, because the sequels tend to be about the villain, not the hero. So when I saw that, I'm like, number one, they're making the movie about him. There's going to be a lot of him. Number two, he's going to have the rings. So he's like a mirror of the hero, which means he typically dies at the end. So I'm like, okay, there's potential here because he's going to be a big part of the story and he's going to die. So at least there'll be some consequences. Hopefully it's not like mindless generic action, which it turned out to be. But that was something. Now, there are several ways. Like, I could say, what's the better way to have the script? The thing is, depending on what you want to do, there's actually so many ways you could have done it, and all are better than what they did do. Because we talked about before, like, and here's what I think. Why is he immortal from the rings?
I don't know, but the ending credit scenes seem to hint that the rings are like something crazy, and like, I have no fucking clue.
Something connected to Kamar-Taj. But what's the purpose? Because This whole thing is about how Wenwu wants his family to be together, and like Shang-Chi becoming what his father wants him to be. This guy was alive in like ancient times, conquering empires. First of all, how is there no trace of him in history that you could like point your finger to? Like, that's that guy. How come he's always like a faceless ghost that no one has heard of? Would you guys think that that's weird?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing
Second
is,
of all,
like,
what happened to all the women that he conquered? You telling me he never had one child?
here's the thing. The movie even recognizes that him being like this crazy warlord is problematic because they pull him out of play in 1996, right before everything starts up. Because having him exist as they've set him up, he would be like fighting Shield, and like it would be like this crazy thing. Hydra.
You
Like,
think about it, he fought, he was in World War II in China.
did he better have fought against the Japanese if he
But-
was helping them? Fucked
But
up.
the very idea that Japan would invade China and he was there and didn't do anything about it.
I know, it's nuts. This dude, but this is what I'm saying. You know how many secret ancient organizations we have now
Yeah.
that have been around like forever that have
Mhm.
just like not done anything?
This is why when I say like the interesting part was when they combine the world together. You bring in you're adding Shang-Chi. You have to make it. And I was excited for him because he's more down to earth. Like he's a more real world character, right? And I'm like, he's gonna have fighting. How are they gonna give him powers to compete, but like still maintaining that down to earth vibe?
Nope. He's immortal. He's a god.
And the rings aren't even that effective. Like
No.
they're good against guys with swords.
Their power set's kind of like vague in this movie. Like you throw them at people and they have like energy. Other than that, like
Yeah,
at
you
least
can
in the
kind of control him with the force.
at least
Like-
in
A
the
lot of-
comics, they were
yeah.
very defined on what they do, and
A
they
lot
had
of people
limitations.
care. A lot of people care about that. And like you watch a movie and I want to see how does Shang-Chi fit into the universe. Remember, Ant-Man, they put him against Falcon and they showed like he kind of handed Falcon his ass, right? In that
Mhm.
in the movie.
Yeah. In
Yeah.
Ant-Man.
So when he did that, that sort of tells you like, okay, so he's above Falcon, who's not really a proper Avenger yet.
He's Captain
So-
America.
So how would he well, he is now, but back then he wasn't, right? Back then he was new.
Right.
So how does he stack against like others? Like what would he do? Could he beat Cap? He probably could in some ways.
But even like the moment where we like see Shang-Chi, right? He's fucking riding a dragon, fighting a giant bat creature from another dimension. Also, like initially, I really liked how like when Wu used the rings because you kind of see how he almost uses the rings to throw himself and to brace himself, right?
Right.
That was
Mhm.
cool. But Shang-Chi is like controlling them remotely,
Right.
like using the force, and
Right.
then the only people we get Shang-Chi compared to are fucking Captain Marvel, who's the most overpowered fuck we have. And
Let's not even
Human
go
Hulk.
there yet. But I like what you said about how you see Wenwu using it to traverse. Because I like that because he's doing things that aren't humanly possible. He's doing things that are allowing him to like be better than the average guy or even like a regular superhero-ish guy. Like he's got his own way of doing things. But it doesn't turn him into a god. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I like the rings in that sense. It's like what so my idea for the film is like Wenwu should have been like an immigrant or a child of an immigrant. Or maybe not an immigrant, but like I'm saying, like take it to Wenwu's parents. Like who were they? And let's assume that there's no immortality bullshit, right?
Mhm.
So like his parents would have been like hardworking peasants, right?
Yeah.
However, when Wu comes across the rings, he now turns himself into something. Like he builds an empire, right? He has powers, and it should be criminal because that's where like something like the rings would help him. It's not going to help him be president.
Yeah.
You know, like the rings would be beating down the other criminals and taking over their territory.
Mhm.
So he does that. He's a self-made man because of the rings. And so what this means, and this is like when I say immigrant, what I mean is immigrant here, but of course they would be in China where they're from. This idea of like building your own peace for your children and like your family and your legacy. This idea like you made it. Everybody
Yeah.
tries to do it. It's not just an Asian thing. It's like even my family is the same way. Like go to college, be successful, like build something here.
It's a human thing. You want those
Yeah,
who come after
right.
you to build something.
Right. But I say immigrant because that's what immigrants come here to do specifically. So,
Okay.
so what I'm saying is when Wenwu does that, he wants to give it to his son. When you make him immortal, he probably had a lot of kids that have already grown old and died. If you really think about it. Like even by the time he met his mother, you telling me this dude never just like had unprotected sex with all the places that he conquered?
He
So
predates condoms, by the way.
yeah. So like that's what I'm saying. Like it's actually it just breaks things. So he has a son, Shang-Chi, who he wants to take over because he built it. He's got to take over the empire, the criminal empire. And I think like so you have to go a couple different ways. Like how do you want to do this? If you make Wenwu the character, at the end you should kill him, and then Shang-Chi takes over through some character arc of his own. Or the story is about Shang-Chi, like the Mandarin getting snapped, as we said
Mhm.
before, and then Shang-Chi like deciding that he doesn't want to live that life anymore. And then boom, guess who's back? you know? And now that he's back, his father comes for him. And Shang-Chi has had a taste of a different life. And by the way, this idea that he would leave that life and become a total loser, what is that? That's not good. That's not interesting. So he leaves all that with all the skills that he possesses, and all he wants to do is park cars and like drink
Yeah.
karaoke
And
for
also
10
like,
years.
and that's not even a satisfying thing. Like if he has like what you're saying, these skills, he should be doing something. I don't
Right.
know.
Something he should be out maybe staking a claim like I don't want to be criminal anymore. Or maybe when the Mandarin left, maybe he was too weak and he got his ass beat by one of the Mandarin's like enemies. Maybe he lost the empire. And his father comes back and he's like, "We're going to take it back." And he's like, "I don't know if I want to be like that anymore." Right? I don't think Wenwu necessarily needs to be a bad guy. He could be a criminal, but like you understand where he's coming from. Like this is the hand he
The
was dealt.
movie almost understands that because it shows like his wife gets killed, which most people can empathize with. That's fucked up. And then he goes to kill the guys who killed his wife, which most people could also be like, yeah, I kind of get it.
Take away the immortality part, keep that type of stuff where he's like, I'm going to take these rings and I'm going to do what every man would want to do, but they can't because they don't have the 10 rings, but he does. And so this is like, to him, he's like, this is who we are. This is our family. We have power. You can't do this. And Shang-Chi, you have to build a character that either agrees with that or pulls away from it. Obviously, if you pull away, there's more conflict. So like, that's probably the way to go. Build it around that. And then see, this is the thing. The story like tries, it does it so poorly, and then it gets mixed up in like the secret village and blah.
Yeah, that.
But it
each
ends
act,
with two dragons fighting as he's fighting.
Each
Yeah.
act is literally like a disconnect of a different movie. The first act is basically Crazy Rich Asians until he fights the guy. Okay. The second act is like tournament, like spy, like mystery stuff. The third act,
like military.
Yeah.
Like what is the 10 rings? Like the synopsis mentions the 10 rings.
Yeah.
We didn't even see the 10 rings.
Yeah, they're like a side, they're like military terror. Who knows? Then the third act is like mystical village warfare, dimensional. Like that's insane. Also, can we talk about the fact that Death Dealer was really hyped up and was nothing? Are we going to talk about that?
Right. Is Death Dealer a character from the comics that I should have cared about?
I have no idea.
I think so.
I just want to point the trailers, the Lego sets. There were all these theories about Death Dealer. Death Dealer literally showed up 3 times, was kind of okay, and then got killed.
I didn't realize until they specifically like highlighted him dying. Then I'm like, oh, was that just one guy?
Yeah, it was one dude. And by the way, Shang-Chi doesn't even defeat him. The fucking monster takes his soul.
And
I had a question about that, by the way. Like, if something like that takes your soul, like, how does that work? Are you just like in the void? Because they've already established like the soul stone exists in your soul. Like, is there like, I don't know what is that? Was it ever explained?
I think it just takes your energy, and I think like whatever the dragon is, if you could somehow return the energy, then they would probably come back to life. But like the dragon is like pulling it.
I told Kia this, but it was literally the end was like Godzilla King of Monsters. Like
No, it
like,
was. It was. We'll get to that. It was.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? Just for your own curiosity later on, look up a movie called D-War or Dragon Wars. It's from
D-War?
2007.
Yo,
It's-
you guys want to fight a D-War?
It's this really shitty dragon CGI movie that I saw in theaters with my mom.
I've seen this.
It kind of reminded me of that.
Why do you have Death Dealer and that Romanian guy? Like, why can't you combine characters? What is the point of having two number 2 henchmen guys?
I don't know, because I assumed that the Romanian dude, Razor Fist, was going to be like the early villain who's like not that great, and that Death Dealer was going to be like a problem.
I was surprised that he kept like coming back.
Yeah, I know.
Not
I
dying.
expected him to be defeated and like killed early, and Death Dealer was like, this is the problem.
Just
but
like
instead,
an unnamed henchman with a cool arm, like nothing else to him.
Yeah, but instead, Razor Fist was like major player, and Death Dealer was like sidelined, even though in the trailers it was the other way around.
And nobody talks like, if you want to talk about diversity, why did you like do nothing with the Asian henchman and then give him like a white henchman
That was like his primary dude.
and also like you could argue that he was more of a villain because he's actually trying to stop them the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yep. By the way, on a side note, that like sort of like very quickly going back to the comedy in this movie sucked. That whole bus sequence with him and Shang-Chi, where that guy with the phone the entire time, even though they're about to get murdered,
That's
is
that
like,
guy from
what's up,
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Really?
The do a backflip guy.
Yep.
I don't know that
I liked him.
I didn't. I thought that was annoying.
Yeah, they went back to him too many times because it was unbelievable at a certain point. Like at first, you're like, "Oh, this is a funny guy," and then when like shit starts going crazy, he should be like out of his mind and trying to get out of there. Instead, he's just sitting there like talking to us. He's not even talking to the camera really. He's talking to the audience watching the movie. Like, "Oh yeah, now he's doing this." And
I thought
like
it was kind of
pandering
funny
to
because
us,
like he
but
starts that he's like, "Yo, I did some martial arts when I in my youth. I'm gonna critique this fight."
I thought was funny because people do that. I thought the bus fight was fine. It was a lot of CGI. I also thought that there was a lot of CGI, and I wasn't too crazy about that. And the other thing I don't like is, and you're seeing this now like post Mandalorian a lot. They're doing these like heavily CGI backgrounds where you could tell that everything aside from like the one piece that they're standing on is just not
fake.
there. You
And
can tell.
I've talked about this before, but I feel like this style of CGI encourages filler, bland stuff.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have to physically build the set,
Yeah.
you want your characters to be doing the same thing every time.
Right.
And then it's
Right.
just boring.
Yeah. No, I actually thought that was a big problem. It takes me right out of the movie because I can almost see where the green screen is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're on a set. Every time I saw that, I'm like, they're just on a set. It's just, you could tell it. The backgrounds don't look right. Like they don't look like good CGI. They look like a picture that they just pasted on there. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all. I don't like that. And I think you're right. A lot of the scenes are just them standing there. Well, let's see. So Wenwu meets his mother, and I'm already like, he's immortal. This is going to be problematic as it goes through the movie. But he meets his mother, and this guy has lived for thousands of years or something, and like he meets someone who's essentially an infant to him, and like, okay, whatever. Does he take the rings off and then age? Is that how that works?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, one would assume.
We never really understand like why him? Why does he? How can he use the rings? How does he keep it to him? Can someone else just pick one up? Like, how does that work? I would have liked if it was just, it's not special to him. It's just that he's the one that's wearing them. Like if you told me that, and it's like, I like that better because this guy would have been a peasant or a farmer, like whatever. He would have been poor, but instead he has these rings and it made him into the man that he is. And he's trying to pass that on to his son.
Yeah, but instead, like the movie almost implies that they're special to him, but then somehow Shang-Chi like flips them so they belong to him now.
There
Like, that was
actually
the
is
other
an
thing.
explanation from the comics, but since they never mentioned it once in this film, I don't think it applies.
What is the explanation?
The explanation is like, first of all, those rings in the comics, from what I remember, aren't really special at all. They're just a power source for a spaceship that he finds in a place called the Valley of the Spirits. and he wears them on his hands. And eventually, after using them for so long, he learns how to use them at long distance, and they become basically like psionically coded to him, so that only he can use them, and he basically maximizes his potential with them. I don't think they make him immortal, but like that, like he learned.
Can you
It's
imagine?
repetition, basically.
Can you imagine a Wenwu story where it's like the 90s or something, and he has a family and he has one son, and for something he has to protect his family, and he ends up getting sent to like a prison camp where he has to dig or whatever, and he finds the rings and breaks out, and he goes home to find out that they like murdered his wife, and all he has is his son. And then you like flash forward a few years, and his son is older, and he's like built himself into an empire. He never moved on from his wife, and then he gets snapped, and like you could really show.
And then the dragon starts whispering in his ear, and
Yeah, God, we haven't even got to that. That's the crazy shit.
yeah, there's so much shit in this.
So anyway, I've said a lot about Wenwu. He's my favorite part. I actually think I might even buy the action figure because I liked him so much, and I'm pissed they did not show my favorite part of the trailer in the movie. And not that this says much, but there's one part in one of the trailers where Shang-Chi is like, "You're a criminal and a murderer," and he's sitting there calmly, and he's like, "Be careful how you speak to me, boy," like something like that. And I'm like, "That's a cool guy. That's a cool character because he's not the least bit threatened, and he doesn't have to like give him like a face like that. He just sits there like, I could destroy you, so don't even talk." And it's like, yeah. It's true. That's what I was expecting. I was this like self-made man, That's not even in the trailer. It's not even in the movie. He says it to somebody else.
He says it to the old man in the village. Like, I've lived 10 of your lifetimes.
Like, be careful. Young like, man. Clearly they like the line. And he's like, "Be careful how you speak to me, old man," or something. But it's not the same. It's not the same. So anyway, everything I just said about how the movie could have been better is because Wenwu is the main character. So then we suddenly go to Shang-Chi and we see him waking up in his house, but then we learn that it's not his house. And does he have his own bed, an own room, or is he living with his friend? Like what is going on there?
He's living in a garage under their house.
Oh, he's in the garage? So
I really couldn't tell.
So he is a total freeloader.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
And then they make it very clear early on it's a platonic friendship, and then they just turn it into a relationship.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but like Asian culture is not that different from Persian culture. That would not be okay. And I don't know where like the man of the house was, but like even the women would be like, "No, this man cannot live in our house. You two aren't even married. What are you guys doing?" And like the grandma saying, "When are you two going to get married?" is not like... It's kind of played as a joke or like lighthearted, but in reality, it's like, what are you guys doing? If not like, I found the whole thing unbelievable. Like, it's just bizarre. I don't believe that you would see that. That would have to be some very like Americanized people to be okay with that sort of arrangement.
They're clearly not, because Katie has to remind her mom, "You're American," and she's like, "No."
Yeah, and Awkwafina looks old in this. Am I wrong? Like,
no, you're absolutely right, especially compared to Shang-Chi.
I don't know if that's just her face or like, could they not find another comedic Asian actress? Is that the problem?
I don't know.
That was the only option on the table.
I have no idea.
Also, if that was your goal, then you want to turn her into a superhero, and like you picked Awkwafina for that.
Maybe she'll die.
Let's leave that off. God, that would be amazing. It's nothing against the actress, but it's like at a certain part of the movie, I'm like, why is she still there? And I started to get worried. Like, she's still in the movie. They're not going to do something with her, are they? Like, I kept getting more and more worried. Anyway, so they go to work and they show like a rich Asian guy, and then I didn't like the music, by the way. And actually, one of my friends from high school worked on the album. But I didn't like the like hip hop thing that they would try to put on. I'm not saying it had to be traditional Chinese music either, but I think maybe just more of like a regular superhero theme would have been better. Was there a superhero theme in this?
I don't know. I didn't see one. I didn't.
Everett usually picks up on that. Did you catch anything?
Not really.
Yeah, and you need that for movies. Like there has to be a cohesive theme. Anyway,
See,
um,
that's sort of like ties back into the whole like if you take out all the Marvel mini references that they have, like I can count on one hand the amount of times they mentioned the MCU. It almost doesn't feel like an MCU movie. Almost.
yeah, but then they do have some like big references. Not saying that they were well done, but there are some big references. But
Specific characters that we'll meet eventually.
they mentioned the snap, and that's the other thing is like this is the first movie set properly in like post snap world. Like
Mhm.
not like we just recovered from the snap, but more like the world has started to move on. And I was expecting, since he's a more of a real world character, that we'd see some of the world like that. We don't see any of the world that he lives in. He's in San Francisco, and everything looks like nothing ever happened.
Honestly, I'm more surprised that they didn't mention the whole Ant-Man fiasco that happened.
What?
Well, remember like they like wreaked havoc in San Francisco. He like grew really
Oh yeah,
giant.
yeah, yeah. That's true too. Um, so they go to work, and then they decide to go to karaoke, or they have lunch with their friend. I don't remember.
Yeah, they have that whole exposition dump where they're like having drinks with that family or
Yeah,
those people.
they have a lot of exposition dumps. This is what I'm saying is that they they set up Wenwu, then they have to give you all this exposition about Shang-Chi, but then they have to go back and give you more exposition about Wenwu because he's actually the main character. But then you have to go back to Shang-Chi and like explain where his relationship is to Wenwu. Everything's about Wenwu in this film if you really think about it. It's not about Shang-Chi. Um, so I don't know. He fights those guys. They want the pendant. I don't even understand what happened there. So
They took the two pendants, and the pendants were put into a dragon statue that magically revealed the way to get into Kunlun. I mean, whatever city it was.
yeah, right.
Um, and it's not explained why they had the pendants. It's not explained how he discovered the pendants. It's just a plot device for them
So
to interact.
They're
his
just
the,
pointless MacGuffins that disappear halfway through the movie.
I'm
Mhm.
guessing their mother gave them the pendants,
That's what's
Yeah,
implied.
and then when they left, they took that with it. They took them with them, and then he wanted them because it shows him the path to come through.
and then it's worthless because they just get in another way anyway.
Right, but in order to get the pendants, he has to know where they are, which he
Hmm.
does. But for some reason, he has to bring them together, and in order to do that, he knows where the daughter is. He knows where the son is. He has to take Shang-Chi's pendant and then for some reason bring Shang-Chi to her through some deception so that he could then take her pendant, which he could have done at any time. And then he
And
takes
then take
them
both of them back with him.
both to be family, but he actually does nothing with the sister. And I have nothing against the sister. If you want a female character, then make Shang-Chi female. But what is the point of the two of them is my question.
Because she can
This
be the Mandarin.
right.
Or
There's nothing
I guess
to
there
that
is no
character.
Mandarin.
She's arguably better than Shang-Chi in every way in terms of like what the story asks of Shang-Chi. Like she's more competent in almost every single aspect. She's more driven to be like the father, more interesting, better fighter, you could argue.
Yeah, she kicks his ass.
Kind of. I mean, that was a stupid fight anyway, but she like sucker punched him. But um, yeah, in other words, she should have been what Shang-Chi should have been, and then the siblings shouldn't have existed. But fine. Why send a letter to bring Shang-Chi when you know where they both are and all you wanted to do was kidnap them? Also, why did you let them fight in the arena? Also, what is Wong doing?
No one knows.
Why
No
is
one knows.
Abomination there?
Yeah, was he
And
like
they're friends.
Wong's? He's like Wong's sparring partner, so he even puts him back in his cage at the end.
See, to me, I thought maybe there's a scenario where the tournament I thought the tournament was going to be a big part of the movie and they were going to fight for the rings somehow. And that the government would have sent Abomination. Like General Ross would have sent Abomination to win the tournament.
Yeah,
And like
now that I
Wong
think
is
about
there
it,
because he doesn't want to let it fall into like the wrong hands. And Shang-Chi's there because it belonged to his father
do you
or
guys
something
remember the
like that.
conversations we had when this movie was in concept about like the tournament of champions, like all these people showing up and having this massive battle? Like we thought Howard the Duck was going to be there for some reason. Like Fing Fang Foom was going to show up. Like,
I mean, I don't remember saying that part, but
well, that
see,
was
I
a
was
rumor.
thinking someone like Justin Hammer could have found it, the 10 rings. And
Mhm.
because Justin Hammer's more of a tech guy, he doesn't understand how to use it. Nobody does. But Shang-Chi knows what it is. And Shang-Chi wants to get it because he knows it belongs to his father and he knows what it can do. So he enters the tournament and he probably should find, like, that would be a good way to maybe connect him with some superhero stuff and go to the Avengers and be like, I know what this is. Let me fight for it. I'm the only one that knows how to use it. Something like that. You'd have to figure out more of the story from that point. But that's what I was thinking is, like, remember in Casino Royale, like the CIA sent their guy and
Yeah.
like that sort of thing. No, it was just like throwaway. The whole tournament was throw. Why even let them fight if you were ready to storm the place?
Okay, in that whole sequence's
It's
defense,
just so dumb.
um, I went on Twitter after I got out of this movie, and I started looking at some of the comments, and one of them was really funny because
Twitter's great.
yeah, it's normally a cesspool, but there was like one gem which was, how do you keep the sanctum doors open? Wong fights for money. Because like he's obviously doing it on purpose, which
Damn,
I
you
thought
got
was
the
kind
whole
of funny.
squad laughing.
Yeah, I
They
know.
they no, but see what they've done with Wong is like they just turn him into like comedy relief. Like he's just doing random things all the time now. He's just all over the place, just doing shit. Um, they should give him some characterization. Anyway, so they get captured, and that whole sequence on the catwalks,
Mhm.
it was okay, or the scaffolding, it was okay. A lot of CGI. I thought they did a decent job with the action. Yeah, I thought Aquafina would die, and I was disappointed when that didn't happen. And,
Death Dealer was mediocre.
I don't have a problem with the actress. I just don't like that character, like we said, and I definitely didn't like her in this movie. Um, yeah, him and Death Dealer have a fight, but it's like, why? Why do you have the remaining guy and Death Dealer? It's the same guy. Just put them together. Give him the arm. Who cares? Um, and then so they get taken. I like the sister. Did you guys like her?
Yeah, she was fine, but the problem is
She's
like
better than Shang-Chi.
what she becomes is questionable.
Right, right. And then so they get to, I don't know, they meet their father again. And like the questions are like, okay, so what is the 10 rings now? And so he sort of shits on the Mandarin name. Okay, whatever. Um, the 10 rings appears to just be like the people guarding his house. And it seems to be like 20 to 30 people, which almost makes you think like, was there a version of the story where he got snapped and like lost his empire? Because this is not a guy who's been around for thousands of years with ultimate power.
That would be
And
kind of cool. Can you imagine like he's been around this long, his empire used to span the world, but then it kind of splintered off. That's where the version that kidnapped Iron Man came from. Like that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, they were also the 10 rings.
this is
Yeah,
what I'm
but
thinking. Shang-Chi takes over after he gets snapped and they take him down. Like it's like a rebellion. He's usurped. So he has to flee.
yeah, but what actually happens, we go back, like you said, it's 30 people guarding his house. He like basically does the whole, here's what the necklace is for. We're going to an alternate dimension, which is like, what the fuck? And then
Right. And that's the thing is like nothing in this movie has set up what's about to happen.
yeah. And then they like have the act, they meet Trevor Slattery.
What did you think about that, Everett?
Uh, to me personally, I think it was kind of a bittersweet moment because honestly, I think he should have died in this movie because he basically serves no purpose other than comic relief and a
You can't kill him
callback.
though. You can't kill him. He's too funny of a character for the audience to die and then like you don't if he dies, you have to spend time on it. That's the
But
problem.
also, like my personal thoughts of how I wanted Ben Kingsley to be the real Mandarin. It's just
I do miss that. I know that it was played off as a joke, but I liked
I
that
accepted it.
style of Mandarin. Like the
It's okay.
modern terrorist, like
Yeah.
like yeah, Kia, that figure you have of the Mandarin where he's like in his chair and he has all the rings.
Looks cool.
That is the real Mandarin to me because that looks cool.
I mean, not anymore, but
Not
yeah.
anymore. Mandarin doesn't even exist. But
I like this guy. I like Wenwu, but Trevor
was cool, but-
I thought Trevor like was funny, then overstayed his welcome, and then was kind of okay by the end.
Well, I mean, the funniest scene that he had for me is when he is like playing dead at the battle and it's played off as sad. And
Yeah.
he's like, it's called acting, just relax.
See, that was funny. His introduction was funny, even though it went a little long. A lot of the stuff that happened in between that, like, for example, when they're driving the car through the forest, You don't even see him.
Yeah.
Now, a character like that would be losing his shit and saying things, but that's how shoehorned in this is. That Ben Kingsley was clearly not going to be paid to sit in the car that much. He was like, no, I'm not doing that. They just don't even show him at all.
Well, no, remember he's doing right, left, right, left.
Right. They show him like, but if you look at like when they're all in the car, like they don't show who's in the car. So he just did
it's
like
CGI. Yeah.
He did like a day's work, maybe 2 days work. Like, so that character was not really written for the movie. It's almost like they were able to put him in afterwards. But anyway, he was okay. I think that Marvel really felt like they had to address the whole like fake Mandarin plot in this movie.
So then after like they escape the compound, it really goes off the rails.
Well, I wanted to say this. When he explains the moving forest, and I'm like, because I forgot about that in the beginning. Think about how many things they showed us of Wenwu in the beginning of the movie. It was a lot. He's the main character. When they explain what the forest is, I'm like, oh, so this is what they've decided to do. Shang-Chi and Wenwu are going to team up because they both want to go get something. I didn't understand what the village was at that point. They both want to go get something. And then when they get there, it's going to be like something family related or something. And they're going to have to fight over it. But they're going to work together to get through using the 10 rings, right? And but isn't that like you would think that actually could be like a decent idea?
Yeah, I could see that being a logical conclusion, Kia. But what you don't understand is that Godzilla King of Monsters got a lot of hype. So we're gonna do something.
None of these people work with logic. It's just
so I'm like, is this what they're keeping Awkwafina for? Like she's gonna stay at the base and tell them how to get through the maze and help them, and then I'm like, well, he would have trusted his own people to do that. What the fuck is she still doing here? Now, then they just steal the car. And this is why I thought that they were going to run the maze, because I'm looking at the maze and I'm like, that thing's moving really fast. We've already seen it eat up a car. It seems like you wouldn't think of it this way, but a car would actually be a bad idea because it can't make the turns.
Mm-hmm. The rings can make the turns.
Could a human or the rings do better? Because you could even like come out of the forest with the rings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can't you just fly over it and land like in the center?
So I'm like, is Wenwu going to give Shang-Chi like the other one, and they could go together? And again, it's like, why is there a sibling then? Because they would have to come too if it was about family or something. It's so dumb. So they just take a car. And then, so Awkwafina is talking about how much she loves her stupid valet job. And now she's doing like impossible driving. Let's be honest. It's not possible, but she's doing it. So I'm like, so their arc for her is like, she actually is a pretty goddamn good driver. And that's going to be like something moving forward, maybe in other movies, that she's his driver. Why would he need a driver? I don't know, but I guess because he doesn't fly. So she'll be the driver, right? You would think that by the logic that the movie is presenting, that her role as part of the team is the driver.
Yeah.
So they get to the village, and this is the other part. It's like, okay, everything we just said, fine. But what about the mom and her role in this? She has another type of ability, some type of like hidden
airbending,
tiger, crouching, whatever.
Airbending.
Airbending. That's the right word for it. Let's just call it what it is. She's airbending. Fine. That's a mystical power. She has it. You want to introduce a new power? Fine. You're showing me that it can actually defeat the rings? Fine. What you're telling me in my mind is, what if you could combine the two? Fine. That's probably where the movie's going to end, right? Now, the thing is, his mom's style defeats the dad's style. So you're going to, part of the flashback, if Shang-Chi is your main character, is you're going to have to show, like, the dad wants him to be like brute force with the rings, but the mom tries to teach him something else. He's more like the mom, and the dad always had a problem with that because he was like softer and more gentle. So when the dad got snapped, he got destroyed because he wasn't like the dad. So when he comes here and he reconnects with his culture, and then you've got Michelle Yeoh, who I like, but the movie tries to make it seem like the mom is such a big deal. And then suddenly you have this substitute. Like the movie's trying to say, like,
Who does everything the mom could do. She teaches him the power. She talks about the village. She tells about the history.
The movie thinks it's an addition to the mom, but in reality, she replaces the mom. And actually, like then Wenwu and the aunt are like at odds. Like it kind of becomes about them, and it's the third act, and you just introduce this character, and it's like we're seeing a lot of her now.
But not just that character. You introduce this whole fucking village with all these fucking monsters and all this fucking magic, and like.
See, you compare that to Black Panther when you have Okoye and like W'Kabi and fighting. They were there the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
That's better writing.
Yeah, and you can bring out something interesting, but the thing is like revealing something like, okay, we had this weapon in reserve, but we already know these characters, we know the universe, it makes sense. When the Wakandans bring out their soldiers at the end or their technology, it makes sense. When you go from Crazy Rich Asians with superheroes to military thriller to fantasy fucking monster fight.
So let's keep going. So there should be a thing here where, like in a typical hero's journey, the aunt should teach Shang-Chi like something the mom never got to teach him.
Mm-hmm.
And this is this is like the main key to, because like she died when he was young or something, right? Or something like that. Yeah, something like that. So she never got to teach him everything, but he has the ability. And if you don't want him to have the ability, then he has to be shown training from as a child, the mom's thing, in order for him to do it competently in the third act. So there should be a moment where he like finally starts to understand the mom's side of things. So, but the whole thing with this village should not even be in the movie. But whatever, fine. So they're there. He learns the mom's things in like a day, and Awkwafina learns archery in a day. I mean, even like from a practical standpoint, that is just like bizarre that they would even put that in the movie, that they show her practicing once. She doesn't even hit the bullseye. So you're not even saying like she's super talented. You're just saying like she did it once, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like me firing guns. Like the first time I did it, it's like, yeah, I got it near the thing. Like it was a good spread. Like that doesn't mean that I'm like an expert marksman now.
No, Kia, you're ready to go.
But that's essentially what she does, is she like has a decent showing, which would have taken like days, weeks. Like that's really hard to do archery. That's not the same as firing a gun. That's really hard. With the right force, she doesn't have the physical strength. Like, no, it's hard to pull a bow back. And I don't even know archery that well, but
I did archery when I was younger, and it was hard as fuck. It's also hard as fuck to be accurate.
Yeah.
I did it for like 2 months, and I was not accurate at all.
Right. So it's just absurd. And I know we're talking about like superheroes. So are we saying that she's fucking Hawkeye or Bullseye?
She is Hawkeye.
That what we're saying? That she's
fucking Hawkeye?
Because even Bullseye had to hit the fucking ball against the wall for like 10 years, right? Isn't that how he got his powers? So like, what are we saying here? So, and then Shang-Chi learns his thing in a day. She learns her thing in a day. They have the expert marksman, old guy. The old lady, I thought like when the old man wouldn't let her go to battle and he hands the bow to the old mom, I thought she was just going to hand it right back to her. Like that was going to be the joke. Instead, she doesn't. And then later she just joins up anyway because they like need help. It's like, you always needed help, you idiot. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like, why would you write it in this ass backwards way? So then the plan is the dragon. I mean, think about where this movie started. The
Jesus
dragon
Christ.
is talking to Wenwu because they recognize that he's like a superior being that can open the gate. And Wenwu apparently never spoke to his wife about what's behind there, ever.
Yeah, but also like I like how he's like sitting there, you just hear, help me, and he's like, oh shit, there she is, and he like boings.
Oh wait, didn't he see her corpse?
That's a great point that we forgot. And again, that's more flashback bullshit, which you could argue is they think it's Shang-Chi's flashback, but it's Wenwu's flashback about the mom. It's more important to him. Like Shang-Chi is just along for the ride, and the sister too. It's Wenwu's story. So yeah, there's a body. So he's convinced that she's behind there. And no one ever said to him, like, yeah, by the way, there's this giant fucking monster that talks to people. A lot of people have tried. It's always a trick. And we should never open that gate because it'll destroy the world. And Wenwu, who's like practical, just never had that conversation. And then here's the woman's voice in this world of magic and mysticism. and doesn't think like, yeah, that might not be real. Fine. And then so then they have this standoff, and again, it's like on a little tiny patch of grass with CGI background all around them. So they have this battle of like, I want to say 2 armies of maybe 10 people each. Like there's like no one there.
Yeah.
There's like 5 villagers. 90% of their population is like retirement age, if anybody noticed that. And so like it's just not sustainable. Like maybe
it's stupid.
The dragon should put them out.
And
of
like
misery.
also if like Wenwu's forces had brought any guns, which they had them on the trucks but didn't use, they would have won the battle in 5 seconds.
They had like Star Wars bowcasters, like those like crossbows.
Yeah.
Bring guns, guys. It would work better.
I mean, this falls apart. And I don't even know what the fuck happens at this point.
No, I'll tell you what happens. Because, okay, so they
give us a recap.
They kind of fight and like they're like clashing and like nothing's happening. Wenwu walks through, okay, well, like some of the characters like Death Dealer and like some of the characters from the village fight. Wenwu walks through, Shang-Chi follows him. They like have a little skirmish inside that temple, and Wenwu like throws Shang-Chi into the water, so he's gone.
Right.
Like rings him into the water. Wenwu then hears, "Help me!" And so he fucking Iron Man like jumps.
That was cool.
Like 10 miles over to the thing and starts breaking it open. The little squids come out and start taking people's souls, and they're like, "We have to work together to fight them." And the Romanian Razorfist is like, "Yeah, you think I believe that?" Then Death Dealer gets annihilated, and it's like, "Oh shit, okay, let's work together." So they all work together. It's almost like they realized they didn't have a big enough group to like confront the monsters. So they're like, "Yeah, we'll just have them combine and fight as
one."
What
they realized is they need Wenwu and his people there. They need the village people there, and they need them to fight the dragon. But what are they going to do before that? That's probably how it came. So that's why there's a stupid fight of like 10 people.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a reshoot.
Yeah.
This movie is making my eyes glaze over.
So that happens. It's
this
like
is
whatever.
Why it feels so long, Everett. I don't know how you didn't. This was
I agree with you now.
Started the dragon part.
Yeah, I know. And then, okay, then we're almost in hour 2 of the podcast, and we just got to like the part of the end of the movie, the third act. Like, okay, so then fucking Wenwu's like hitting the thing, not acknowledging these things coming out above him.
Yeah, it's like, oh, is that not my wife?
It's like,
the minute he sees that thing fly, like, that's not my wife. Goodbye.
Then fucking Shang-Chi goes down and meets the water-bending dragon who like brings him back up.
So this is where you said it's like Godzilla. Why is the dragon just hanging out as there's clearly like they're trying to open the gate?
I don't know. Who knows?
Entire purpose, but that's what he does. The dragon comes out and then he wakes up like Godzilla, and it's like, let them fight. And then the movie becomes about them fighting.
Yeah, because
I'm not exaggerating though, right?
Yeah, what happens is then they start fighting. Wenwu and his dad have like a small skirmish, but then the main bad monster comes out. Okay. And then the main bad monster gets Wenwu, and Wenwu sends the rings to Shang-Chi. And then Wenwu's dead. And then the dragon and the evil dragon are like fighting. And the evil dragon is like getting captured by the water bending of the good dragon. But then he gets all these souls brought in, which like empowers him.
They're giving him like potions.
Yeah. And then he like, he's buffed up. So he beats and starts taking the soul of the good dragon. Shang-Chi has this moment where it's like he has to choose between saving the good dragon or his sister. And you're like, oh, they're going to make him choose. But then he's like, nah. And he just saves his sister anyway. And then also saves the good dragon. And then he uses airbending to airbend the rings into the bad dragon and like cut it up inside and destroy it and kill it.
This is far like the character of Shang-Chi is not really set up to, he's a karate guy. Or whatever.
But now he's an airbender who can airbend these alien rings.
The things that he's doing, like riding like this is a guy whose life was content with just valeting cars.
Yeah.
And now he's riding a dragon and like no reaction, no words about it even.
Okay, but then here's what happens. He beats the dragon, then it cuts to they put all the lanterns in the water to honor the dead. Then they're back in San Francisco explaining this story.
Let's wait. We skipped over how Wenwu dies.
No, the thing grabs him, picks him up, and sucks
It
his
grabs
soul.
him, but so like they fight, and then Shang-Chi somehow takes 5 rings from him
Yeah.
and turns them into, and I guess he uses his mom's like ability somehow. This is why it's not set up. Like she could say like uh we have the ability to manipulate energy. You can take the energy of something and transform it into your own energy. Something like that.
Energy
That could
bending?
that could teach him. So like he
Bend
goes in and he
another's
could
energy.
steal his dad's rings, right? And it would make sense that he like does it, and the dad is like he learned like his mother's tricks, something like that. The most interesting part of to the movie for me at that point was he takes the rings, and I'm expecting the dad to be like, you took like those are his rings. He's had
But
them for
instead, his
thousands of
dad's
years.
just kind of like, all right, let's keep fighting.
I feel like
Nobody
this is
can-
a good
yeah.
point to mention that this movie was written by 3 people. So
3 amateurs. And I'm an amateur, but they're worse than me. Like that's all I can say. So he takes it from him, and I'm expecting the dad to say something. Instead, he says nothing, and then Shang-Chi just takes the other 5 at some point, and then Wenwu just dies from the
No,
monster.
he gets them back somehow. From Wenwu gets all 10 of them back somehow. Then the monster comes out, and before he dies, he sends the 10 back to Shang-Chi.
Which is like at this point, it doesn't even matter. Like we don't even know where these two stand together. It's just like, oh, I'm dying, so I give it to my son. It's like that. Maybe that should have been the theme of like you passing it down.
Yeah. But okay, so all that crazy shit happens with the dragon, which I don't even want to rehash again because it's insane.
Right.
The movie immediately cuts to they're in San Francisco. They're together now romantically. Wong comes and takes them. Boom.
I mean, I like the idea that they're sitting there and they're talking about like all the things that they did, and that kind of plays. At least it tracks with the original scene where they have nothing to talk about. So it's like that joke plays off. I almost feel like that was their original idea for the entire movie, and they just filled in the middle, like with how do we get them to just have like a crazy story to tell. And so they get there, and then Wong comes in and says, "I need both of you to come."
Yeah.
Excuse me, why we didn't even. So Aquafina's shot at best is like the luckiest shot in the world. So
It's like
there's
6 miles away.
there's no way
Into
that
the
she
throat.
could have even fired it that far, but there's also no way that she did it based on skill.
fake it till you make it.
So what you're saying is she got a lucky shot, which is why would you even have that be the way that the big monster dies? A lucky
Yeah, and I'd
shot
like to
randomly?
point out a lot of heroes have had sidekicks who've done crazy shit and they don't get invited to the Avengers.
Yeah, right. And so let's just backtrack for her arc, because I saw someone arguing with people on the subreddit saying that her arc was perfectly written. And I'm like, they literally say, she spends time saying, I love driving. I love driving. She saves them with impossible driving skills that she could never have
And then she
possessed.
becomes an archer.
And then she saves the day by being an archer and is like, I found my calling. It's archery.
Spider-Man had to take down the Vulture and get sent into space to become an Avenger. She had to fire 1 arrow and walk through a portal.
She fires the arrow. She can't even be good at archery. And like that, how was that perfectly written? Anyway, I told the guy, I was like, I don't think you know what perfect means.
Good.
And then, so they go to Wong, and like, I didn't mind this scene, but like this Captain Marvel is again like a different version of Captain Marvel.
We've
This
seen
does
like
not-
3 versions.
This
Brie
doesn't
Larson's
track.
starting to look a little bit older now too.
Whatever. I mean, yeah, she is older. She should be. She was like my age in the 90s in the universe.
Yeah.
So like, so she's playing it like she's my age now, but you got to add another 25 to 30 years on her. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Mhm.
So like, even if she was in her 20s, she's almost like 50 now.
Yes. So but yeah, Brie Larson's there. Brie Larson and Human Hulk.
She's playing it like she's a 16-year-old girl.
I know.
Like,
And
oh, hey guys, I got to go. Bye.
yeah, she's like, you have my number. Bruce is like, I don't have. I was like, are they dating? Is that what's being implied here?
And
Like,
it's not even funny. He's like, I
Wow,
don't
I
have
wonder
her
what that would
number.
look like.
yeah, I don't have her number. But then, and they're like, you guys are Avengers now. They drop the hint that the rings are sending out some sort of beacon, and we felt it in Comertage, and then okay, bye, and they're gone.
And it's like, okay, what is the beacon? Because if I was writing that and I came up with that idea, my idea is like something bad is coming to kill Shang-Chi. Kind of like Thanos coming for Vision.
Yeah.
That sort of idea. So I have no faith in whatever is coming.
Yeah, is it Kang? Is Kang coming? Did he? Is
That's
that the
probably
beacon?
it. That's probably it. And the way, and like I'm sure we'll be sitting here one day and we'll be like, so why was that? Why did he need that beacon for Shang-Chi? Why didn't he come at that point if he has the ability to like teleport across time? And yeah, I'm sure we'll be sitting here saying that. I forgot. Was there a sequence after?
Yes,
After?
it's when the sister is in charge
Oh
of
right.
the base and rap
Oh
music's playing. They've
God.
done graffiti on the walls, and women and men are training.
And then they say the Ten Rings
What
will
is the
return.
10 rings now?
Well, I don't know, but it's gonna return, Kia.
It's a
That's
super
important to
secret
know.
graffiti club.
Am I supposed to be like, oh shit, what are the 10 rings gonna do? They're doing nothing.
They're breakdancing. What are you
She
talking
doesn't.
about?
It's
She
gonna
has
be
like
like
10
the Red
people.
Room. It's gonna be an elite group of soldiers that you never see again until like one other movie.
And what is she gonna do with them? Because wasn't she more or less a good guy?
Sort of.
Like she was a mean fighter and she put on a tournament. That doesn't make her a villain. Like she wasn't
She's
doing
a terrorist
villainous
now.
things. Yeah, but so what is she gonna do? Like fight the Chinese government or?
You've seen 9/11, right?
Oh no,
It's-
you can't say that, Kia.
Well, I know, but like, what is she gonna do?
No,
with the
she's
10
probably
rings?
gonna like be
Go to
like
Cambodia or
evil.
something?
She's gonna be like randomly evil somehow,
Yeah, in
and
a way that
then
makes no sense.
yeah, and they're gonna have to fight her.
She never in this movie, just for the record, when this
9/11.
happens later, she never expresses interest in taking the rings for herself.
No.
Which is the only logical thing for her to want to do.
Oh, that'll probably be the second movie. She wants the
Right.
rings. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, for the record, that never was a thing in this movie.
Yeah. So garbage movie. Everett gave it a draw.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Jade liked it.
the constitution
Yeah,
for a
but-
draw is I didn't like it, but other people like it. And
Yeah, but
I
other
found
people
things
like
that I
everything.
liked about it.
You mean the
I-
criteria?
I thought it was garbage.
Constitution.
And in response to Kia's comment saying Jade liked it, here's my response. Jade also, like, it took her a couple minutes to realize it was not a Korean actor in a Korean movie.
We lied
also-
to her. We told her he was
Yeah.
Korean.
Before the movie, I was like, yeah, he's Korean. Like, it's about Korea. Also, Jade, when we were saying, like, what was good about it, she goes, well, I think Shang-Chi was hot. And I was like, okay. So
That's
there
the
we
kind
go.
of thing. Some people go to the movies just for that, and those people are probably not listening to this podcast. But there are other people that are like, "This, the MCU could be so great, and I want it to be great." And yeah, this is why we trashed it. Basically, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
I had to sit there for like 10 minutes and listen to Jade explain why Wonder Woman 93 or whatever the fuck was a good movie. So, no offense if I don't really trust her
Wonder
opinion
Woman
on this one.
93.
So, do you guys know why China has banned Shang-Chi?
No.
No, but I
Why?
know that China's doing a really big pushback right now against like Western media. Like
Well,
not
really?
just US, yeah, not just US, but like Japanese and Korean, like they really are against like this K-pop stuff. They're against like Western media. They're also doing that banning of the like they're reducing the amount of time people can play video games. I think the Chinese are worried about like their younger generations like not being in lockstep with what their government wants.
See,
Does that mean they're going to stop funding all of our movies now?
Who knows?
here's the thing. This movie is made to like make money in China,
Mm-hmm.
but it's banned in China. It almost
This
seems
isn't the
like, what
first
was
time.
point?
For Honor's last big DLC was called Marching Fire. It was a Chinese themed season that added 4 Chinese heroes, and then the game got banned in China for violent imagery, and they basically were like, okay.
So you see that they get a huge percentage of their profit from China.
Well, look at that. Look at Avengers Endgame got 22%. 22%.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right. Shang-Chi will not benefit from these ticket sales as it has not been approved for release in China by government officials. So they're going to censor it basically. And they will eventually release it.
If they
must
release
pass
it.
censorship. Violates its core socialist values or detracts from its nationalistic image. So what is their problem with this?
Well, if you go up a little bit to the paragraph before that, it says go above the why China's cracking down on tech. Above that, yeah, it says there the country recently expanded its crackdown on its own entertainment industry, telling broadcasters to ban artists with incorrect political positions and effeminate styles from shows in an attempt to cultivate a more patriotic atmosphere. My guess is they aren't interested in the Americanized Chinese person who's free and returns to China and then, fights against the Mandarin. They probably don't like that. They probably don't like, oh, it's an American Chinese hero.
I didn't realize that Black Widow was granted permission late and then they had a blackout period.
Mm-hmm.
So like now it's just online to be pirated.
God, they ruined Taskmaster for nothing.
They think that it'll be because of its source
That's
material.
not true.
The comic books on which the film is based on has been considered racist and filled with reductive stereotypes.
That's not why. It's because I would guarantee it's because China is trying to reduce Western influence via
and they think that
soft power.
Because the Eternals is directed by Chloe Zhao, and that she has made remarks about the country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone who laughs at Awkwafina's comedy is sentenced to death in China.
I'm just confused. Like that seems like a big bite out of there. All right, let's skip the fight of the week just because this was a long episode.
Okay.
So how about round up anything quickly?
Well, we watched What If, right?
Oh yeah, let's talk about What If. So did you see it, Emerson?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Did you see it, Everett?
I don't
Yeah, I
watch
saw
stuff
it.
lately.
This one was so funny.
Why?
It's like the saddest Doctor Strange, right? So what happens is Doctor Strange in this version gets into a car crash with Christine, and Christine dies.
Okay.
And he didn't lose his hands. He loses his heart. So as a result, he goes traveling the world for magic to try to bring her back. Am I getting that right, Everett?
Yeah, like basically the same shit happens, except after he defeats Dormammu, he starts looking for a way to bring her back to life and realizes it's impossible.
So he tries to bring her back after he becomes like the Doctor Strange at the end of the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
So what he does is he takes the time stone and he goes back to that moment in time and he tries to replay it without letting her die, but she dies anyway. And then what happens is this montage of where he cannot stop her from dying. And it's the funniest shit because they're playing it for like sadness, but they really go too far. Like she dies a lot. And it's like, and it's not like she dies later or something. She dies like that night, no matter what he does. So first he takes like an alternate route. And she's like, why'd you go this way? And he's like, oh, I just wanted to get a safer way. And then suddenly like car lights appear behind them and smash them. And like, that
it sounds like the time traveler book. Well, like the time traveler's wife.
Yeah, that part wasn't so funny, but I laughed. Jade was like, oh my God. But it was funny, like the way that he's like, yeah, we're not going to die today. And then boom. And then, so then he reverses time and he tries it again. And like, they go a different route. She dies again. And then they go a different route. Like then they go to like a ballroom or something and they're dancing. She like just has a heart attack and dies. It just keeps happening until the point, like they're sitting at a diner and like this shady character walks in and Doctor Strange's face is like, here we go again. And they even show you like, they think that we don't know that she's going to die. They show the guy pulling the gun out in slow motion and he's like, psh. And it's like, at that point, as soon as Doctor Strange sees the guy walk in, he should just break out the time. He's like, she'll be like, what is that? He's like, don't even worry, man. You're already fucking dead. Let's just, it was so funny.
What was the last one? Like the last one, he doesn't even show up. He just leaves her hanging, and he sees like on the news that she died somehow.
Yeah. It's so funny. And like, yeah, everyone's like, this is the saddest episode. I was laughing my ass off. That was worth watching the What If episode. That was good. Real entertainment. So in the end, I don't know, what does he do? He he tries to get more power. So then he like kills another version of himself. And I don't know, Everett, if you want to explain it, because it was just like
He
It was a decent episode after that, but whatever,
Well, so after the whole death bonanza, he learns from the Ancient One that her death is like a fixed point in time and cannot be changed, because if she didn't die, he wouldn't have become a sorcerer and defeated Dormammu, and everything would have died.
Right.
So he learns, like, in order to reverse like a set point in time, you have to have an unbelievable amount of power. So he goes searching for, like, I don't know who that one sorcerer, like some dude's really ancient library that has all these answers.
Oh, it was Cagliostro.
Yeah, Cagliostro's ancient
who wrote
library.
that book.
Mm-hmm. And he finds the book, and there's this caretaker guy that really doesn't matter. He dies anyway. He goes through all these learning, like, things. He opens up these portals, and he starts bringing in all these creatures from different realities, like all these weird, like, Hellboy looking monsters. And he starts absorbing them one by one by one by one. And he starts taking on attributes of all of them. So he gets like tentacle arms and horns and wings and all these other things. He starts looking like a demon. And then eventually he, if I'm remembering correctly, because I watched it a couple days ago, he gets the power to reverse the moment. And all the while, like, reality is sort of breaking down around him. And they kind of break the rules of time travel. Like, at the same time as this is happening, another version, like the good version of him, is still, like, meandering around New York. And the Ancient One explains that at the moment he went back in time, they split in two. So there's the one that's doing all, like, the time travel absorption shit, and there's the normal one, and they fight, and he absorbs him, and reality basically just crumbles around them. The very end, he sees the Watcher up in the corner. He's like, "Please help me. Like, I made a mistake." And he's like, you shouldn't have done this. It's your own fault. And then reality just crumbles and everything ends.
Yeah. So it was it was kind of like a Black Mirror episode. Like, it's kind of what I thought What If might be more like. Whatever.
Okay.
Everett, I started watching What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
It started off funny, and then it kind of became derivative.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to tap out.
That sucks.
And then there was Peaky Blinders.
Mm-hmm.
They get to this one episode where all the women, like, go out on a day trip together, and then it's like playing, like, badass music as they walk in slow motion down the street. Tapped out. I'm done with that show. I can't go back. So, anything else for Roundup before we move on?
I have gaming stuff for when we talk about gaming. Other than that, no.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go to gaming.
All right. The only thing I have to talk about gaming is that I finally checked out a little bit of that new Aliens game that we were all talking about.
Okay.
It looks like horseshit. It looks really poorly made. From what I've read in the reviews and seen in the gameplay, it's really lazily made. There's connection problems. People can't play together. It's not at all what the description would lead you to believe the game is like. So I'm gonna take that as a loss.
Right.
I didn't buy it yet, so I'm gonna say, like, let's not do that.
Yeah. All right. Marvel's Avengers celebrates 1 year anniversary with free Iron Man outfit, updated content roadmap coming. I've been kind of feeling like I want to play this game again. Let's see. It's been a rocky first year. They've been updating it. 3 full-fledged expansions have been released, including new playable characters, Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, and most recently Black Panther. They released 2 Hawkeyes.
You can play as Hawkeye and you can play as Kate Bishop. So
along with new story add-on missions, villains, and more. Spider-Man is slated to arrive in the PlayStation versions of the game. That's crazy how Xbox won't get. So
I re-downloaded this game like a month ago and I started playing through it. I will admit, playing through it with the endgame skins is actually kind of cool. The Black Panther shit is impossible because when it released, it was broken. You could not play it at all. Everything was too over leveled.
Are those outfits free, the endgame outfits?
No, they're not. You have to buy them.
Fuck that.
So I bought Iron Man and Thor. They were on sale, but that's cool, I guess. The rest of the shit's free. What?
Is he fat Thor?
No, he's fit Thor.
With a beard?
Yeah, with like the stubble beard.
Does he have the hammer? The axe, I mean?
No, he still has Mjolnir. It's They use the same weapons, it's just gear. He has the short hair, he has the beard. Iron Man's the nanotech armor. Hulk is the smart Hulk. Black Widow has her outfit. Hawkeye has his like Ronin outfit.
Whatever.
On September 8th, they'll be sharing an updated roadmap. Yeah, I
I
mean, I always thought that it would be all right for you, like to play with friends, which we never really got a chance to do. But
I don't know, man. Like I kind of lost interest in this game a while ago.
well, maybe if I play, you might change your mind. Um, anything else for gaming?
Not for
No.
me.
How about trailers? I don't recall seeing any new trailers.
No.
There was that well, what trailers played in front of your guys' movie besides that weird like
You
Suicide
saw
Note one?
Dune
Oh, I didn't see Dune.
Dune Eternals. That
and a bunch of stuff that we didn't even care about.
yeah, like it was literally not worth paying attention to.
Yeah, the ones that I remember, I saw Eternals, I saw Venom,
Venom
we
was
walked
there.
in while Venom was playing. Yeah.
and then there was one like.
Everett, did you see the Venom figure that came out?
Yeah, I did. I don't think I'm gonna buy it, but it looks cool. I'm gonna buy Carnage if he comes out.
You got to have both if you're going to buy Carnage.
Fine, all right, I'll consider it. But anyway, the one trailer I remember that I thought was kind of weird. They're making like a Venus and Serena Williams movie, but it's about Will Smith as their dad.
Yeah.
I don't know. That looks kind of odd.
Jade is like, how is your podcast 3 hours long? And my response is trashing Shang-Chi.
We're the dedicated workforce.
All right, cinema score for Shang-Chi. We're just going to talk news now. A 98%. An A on cinema score. Now, if that's an A, you know it means nothing.
Wow.
An A along Iron Man, Captain America. I mean, this just means nothing. Black Widow, A minus.
Telling you, man, standards are low.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, I just have to say this just for the stupidity of it, but yeah. Dune's Rotten Tomato score has been revealed as the first reviews for the sci-fi epic Land. Can I ask you guys this before we get too far into this? I started reading the book. I didn't get some time because I got busy with other things, but so I haven't got that far into it. Is it a good book?
I have differing opinions than other people, so
Because I was going to read
first.
this in anticipation of the movie, but I could just go back to Harry Potter, which I was enjoying.
Go back to Harry Potter.
Yeah, go back to Harry Potter.
Oh, fuck.
I don't think it's a great book. Some people think it's a great book. It's a foundational book in the sense that a lot of the concepts that appear in this like laid the groundwork for a lot of sci-fi.
Okay.
But like
that's like what they say about 2001, and I hate that.
Yeah, but that's what it is. There's a lot of groundwork for a lot of sci-fi, but I've always thought it was like a very chaotic and difficult to attack story.
It's an acquired taste for sure. It's really, really weird at times, but it can be entertaining. I haven't read the book in like 8 years, but it's okay. It's pretty good. I like it.
That's not a.
Speaking of Dune,
that's not
just real
a
quick,
ringing endorsement.
Emerson, I had a comment to make to you about Dune. Remember how we discussed once that this movie is definitely going to be split in two? They're going to tell the first half in the first one, and they're going to wait to the second one to kind of finish it out. I don't know if that's true. I might be completely wrong, but I remember I saw something with like Timothy Chalamet hoping that they get a sequel, meaning is the sequel confirmed?
No, they made the first part. Villeneuve is already working on a script for what he calls Dune Part 2. He doesn't view it as a sequel, but as the second half of the story. It was always going to be two parts, he says. The story is too rich and too complex for one movie.
Oh boy, okay. Well,
get fucked. I know exactly where they're going to end the first part, and they're going to get fucked because of it, because it's going to set up all this stuff with no payoff. And then if it doesn't get enough financial backing, then it won't make the second one and it'll be worthless.
Yeah, here's the thing. I really enjoy the original Dune movie. I think it's David Fincher that did it or something, but it, like I said, it's an acquired taste. Not everybody loves it. And if people go into this film and they don't like it, it's going to bomb. And that's going to suck.
Well, it is what it is. So, okay. So Dune's for Rotten Tomatoes. I read this article actually. Basically, people are like, technically it looks good and there's good acting, but there's a lot of like, oh, it's still too big to be on film. He doesn't quite capture the majesty of the story. But basically, what it sounds like is it's going to be like, yeah, it looks good, but what the fuck did we just watch?
Yeah,
I know Key is texting Jade, but
I'm not texting Jade. I'm trying to set up my return for the book.
Yeah, you got to get your money back immediately.
Yeah, I have to look at the map later. Find the right UPS store to return it to. Okay. Struggles with its unwieldy source material, but those issues are largely overshadowed by the scope and ambition of this visually thrilling adaptation. Part hero's journey and part survival story. The film keeps throwing arcane details at you, but will have most everyone else zoning out. In all its marvel, Dune forgets to do basic things like give us someone or something to root for or feel for or think about for longer than the stretch of the film.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, I'll watch the movie. I'll skip the book. That's what that sounds like. Ben Kingsley reflects on how the potential cultural impact of Shang-Chi is reminiscent of Gandhi. Oh my
Emerson,
God.
you're a big fan of Gandhi, right?
What the fuck? What is he even saying?
I think
Not
when you hear
propaganda.
Destin describe the film, you know that the motives behind telling this story are pure, crystal clear. You guys never watched Sopranos. He's in an episode of Sopranos, and this is funnier if you've read that, if you've seen that.
How does he say this?
This
with a
guy
straight
looks like
face,
he's
though?
rambling as I read through this.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. He's just saying bullshit. This is from his
The
heart.
next paragraph has like the point.
Ben Kingsley's kind of lost his marble.
I, as an actor, Trevor, of course, is a Shakespearean actor.
He's just
survives.
rambling. This is worthless.
Where does he say Gandhi?
Is he trying to find meaning in a literal joke of a character?
Does he even mention Gandhi? Is Gandhi in this page?
I mean, do a search for it. Yeah.
Is that how you spell Gandhi? G-H?
Gandhi.
Oh. Gandhi. Okay. 1, 2. He was asked about his experience making Gandhi.
He's
he
saying
saw
it's a
any
similar
similarities?
experience to making the movie. It's clickbait.
He doesn't even mention Gandhi in the quote. Okay.
It's clickbait. It's clickbait.
DC Extended Universe. We'll go back to that. Shang-Chi director Destin Daniel Cretton recounts his initial pitch meeting and how it almost went sideways. I really personally connected with Shang-Chi's journey. Really? I love that this is a superhero that doesn't get splashed with chemicals to get his superpower. He doesn't have a superpower.
You know what's kind of funny reading that headline? How come all the movies that
Also,
end
like
up
half.
having
Go ahead, Everett.
well, all the movies that end up having positive scores that like were kind of like out of the out of left field that weren't really expected to succeed. How come they always have stories that are like, oh, this almost went sideways, but you know, we pulled through in the end. Like this movie sucked. How do they have this pulled through?
I think that guy's quote about like a superhero that doesn't get splashed with chemicals. It's like, yeah, guess what? We have quite a few of those. Iron Man's one of them. Black Widow's another.
Yeah.
Thor's another. Like,
this is a journey of self-discovery and learning how to finally deal with the pain that he's been running away from his entire life. That was like a footnote in the movie.
At least he didn't have a glowing gun at the end.
You know what's crazy is like in the movie, he says that he was sent to commit the murder and that he did it, and then he like disappeared. We don't even see that. He just tells us.
Well, no,
that.
it gets revealed later that he did not commit the murder.
No, I thought he later said like, I didn't say that I didn't do it.
Oh yeah. It's revealed that he did kill the guy.
He did do it,
but we never saw it.
Yeah,
it's
just
not
irrelevant.
His story. This is what I'm trying to tell you. He's not the main character. It should just be called The Ten Rings or something. I did have a giant personal fear of stepping into a movie like this. The last thing that I admitted was they asked me, "Have you always wanted to do a big Marvel movie?" Why should that matter?
This is stupid.
The truth was, yeah, I did want to do a big budget movie that paid me a lot of money. What a wow, shocker.
I told myself I can make whatever I want and people will go see it. It's basically a sure thing.
This is how it went sideways, that he admitted that he wanted to do the movie.
No, I think what he's saying is he admitted that he didn't want to do a Marvel movie or something.
What competent director doesn't want to do a Marvel movie? Like what I just said, it's a sure thing.
Don't ever let me do a Marvel movie. Okay, well, what is that worth when you're literally a few weeks later, you're sitting in the Marvel thing pitching your idea for a Marvel movie?
He said to someone, "Don't let me do a Marvel movie."
I don't like this
This is
comic book
stupid.
Well,
movie.
there's your problem right there. You
And
have
this
people
guy
that
should
won't tell
not-
you the truth.
This guy should not have a job. In this movie anyway, he should go do a different thing. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, rumored to feature an appearance from What If's.
Peggy Atwell's Captain Carter.
Is that who it is, or
Yep.
is it the other Stephen Strange from this week? The dark and evil version.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
that's
says
what
on
I-
the top Peggy Carter.
Yeah, that was another rumor, but this would be news because it just happened this week.
It'd be nice if they made a figure of her that wasn't in like that weird animation style.
I don't even know that I care about that at this point. Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings director talks that big cameo. We're all part of every conversation about who should show up, but it happened to make sense, and nothing makes me happy to include people. Talking about Captain Marvel, I guess.
No, I think he's talking about. I don't know who the fuck he's talking.
Yeah, he's talking about Captain Marvel. It says it here. Who cares? She did nothing. Directors, Endgame directors had an impasse with Marvel over the Black Widow lawsuit. Since the lawsuit, brothers Joe Russo and Anthony Russo hit an impasse in negotiations to direct another Marvel movie. The Johansson dispute left them unsure how their next movie would be distributed and how they would be paid. So they'll sort it out. But yeah, I wonder if they're going to do Captain America 4. They should not. Shazam star Zachary Levi says it would be a bummer if Shazam doesn't one day meet
This
Black
isn't
Adam.
a fucking. This doesn't mean anything. He's just like, yeah, that would suck.
But it is funny that
He's-
like that's his main villain, and they each have their own movie, and they may never see it. They may never
These
see
are-
each other.
These articles literally just span from like offhand comments. Like you're talking to Zachary Levi, he's like, "Oh yeah, man, it would be a bummer." Immediately, like this happens.
Daredevil star Charlie Cox denies MCU return rumors. I mean, he wouldn't admit it even if he was.
Yeah, that means nothing. They've literally everyone in that movie who's been confirmed has denied it.
He said, "I was just in New York, and one of my friends posted a clip that happened to be while they were filming." Even if I had a few days off, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm not allowed to fly anywhere. What are you talking about? Did he think Captain America came to get me? Is he talking about Falcon? Yeah, whatever. IMAX confirms that those forums don't belong to
Yeah,
Daredevil.
shocking.
What a bunch of morons, honestly.
Yeah.
We pointed out last week that guy had a gut, like
Yeah,
clearly a middle-aged man. You can see in the clip, the man in the interview room is in fact the same one shown quizzing Peter moments before. Wow, who could have put that one
shocker.
together? Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom director James Wan debuts awesome new stealth suit for Jason Momoa's DC hero.
Wow.
it's just black.
Good thing he's wearing that in a stealthy background.
You know that
It
actually
looks so
doesn't look
dumb.
terrible.
What are
That
you
doesn't-
talking about? It looks so
I like that
stupid.
better than his gold suit, actually.
It's because it looks like corn. The Zack Snyder one looks good.
Yeah, that one's the best one, but I'm saying that one looks
This
better
is
than that
no,
one.
it's all stupid.
This-
That
is-
one looks better than the one that you just showed.
He almost looks like Batman.
or Superman.
Yeah, no good. All right, and DC Extended Universe, 9 superhero and villain costumes that the franchise nailed. Peacemaker, okay.
No.
Whatever. I
Ew,
don't even
no.
know.
Deadshot was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
No. No.
Aquaman.
At least that's
Armored
only
Batman.
Batman's. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like the Flash. Some people don't like it because they want comic accurate, but whatever.
It's good for
Um,
a starter.
This is a good costume too, all things considered.
I'm a bit on the fence about it, but
I don't
Mara-
care about
Mara's
Mara's
good.
I like her suit. I don't like the actress.
Ocean Master's cool,
Agreed. Yeah.
although he looks a little like tinfoil, but. And this one, yeah, sometimes I don't know.
I like it. I'm glad they didn't give him like the underpants look.
Yeah, I wonder if there were better ways. Like I feel like his body needs a little more red on the body, but
Whatever.
yeah. Okay. Everett, I think we're at
Smart ass.
Okay.
hard ass to wrap this one up.
All right, Kia, you start this week. What would you like?
Person.
Person. All right, you guys ready?
Mhm.
Here we go. My first appearance was in the year 1966. I attempt to view situations logically and described as very analytical. I work as a science officer. An actor who portrayed me has died in real life. I do not convey emotion when interacting with people. I lived in the 23rd and 24th century.
Spock?
Yeah, correct. Nice.
I was trying to remember his fucking name.
I actually like zoned out on the first three clues and I was like, fuck. And then
I was like, is this someone from Mass Effect? Like,
no.
science.
If you want me to repeat hints, then I will.
Get on to the next question.
No.
All right, fine. What's next then? Place or thing?
Thing.
Thing. All right, thing, fine. All right. This thing is a living creature. It has a long snout and black fur, but can come in many different colors. It walks on 4 legs, but can stand on 2. This creature has been known to burrow into the ground. It can be bought as a Funko Pop. It does not exist in real life.
Toothless?
No. Emerson?
Weasel.
Nope. Its first on-screen appearance was in a film from 2016. It is attracted to shiny and valuable items and are talented treasure hunters.
I don't know the name of this fucking thing.
They possess a small pouch to store items.
Oh, God fucking damn it. It's that fucking thing from Harry Potter. What the
It
fuck
bears
is it
a
called?
resemblance to a platypus.
Snagglepuss.
No. Kia?
Fuck, dude.
A hippogriff.
No.
What the fuck is it called?
One of these
can see
creatures
the
was
name
owned
in
and
my
studied by
head.
Newt Scamander, and its name begins with the letter N.
You said it was black? I thought it was like brown or orange or something.
Well, at the end of the movie, there was like 3 of them, but you have to guess the name.
I don't know.
It starts with N. Could we have other letters, please?
Yeah, we need another letter.
Nagglepuss.
N-I.
What starts with N-I and is black?
You know, just for posterity's sake, the next letter is N-I-F.
God fucking.
Is it? It's not Niffer, is it?
No. Just make a guess.
Just give us another one.
N-I-F-F.
The Niffler.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
That was okay. Let's move on. Nice job. Last thing is place.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the precise age of this location is not known. It has an approximate population of 13 million. It contains many industrial centers and entertainment venues. It has been attacked multiple times. It is approximately 44.7 kilometers in length.
Nowhere.
No. Kia?
Canto Bite.
No. This place was discovered, not built by those who inhabit it. It is the current base of operations for the heads of the galactic government. It is capable.
The Citadel?
Emerson got it right.
It's Mass Effect.
Give me the bonus.
You want the bonus? Okay, fine.
Thinking about that.
Of the races in Mass Effect, who was the first in the current cycle to discover the Citadel?
The Asari.
Correct. Nice. So you both got 2 points this week.
Did you say of the points of the current cycle of the species?
Of the current cycle, what's the race that discovered the Citadel? And he got it right. So Emerson 45, Kia 37.
Doing better. This happened last time too, where I like lost for a while and then slowly came back over the year to win barely, right? Didn't I win by like 1 point or something?
You won by 2 points.
Yeah. All right. What do you guys want to do for next week? There's no movie coming out, so I'm not going to be able to finish Harry Potter, so we could do Saving Mr. Banks.
Yeah, let's just do
Back
Saving
on that
Mr.
Tom
Banks.
Be a
Hanks binge,
shorter
okay.
episode.
Okay. Cool.
All right. I will see you guys next week.
See ya.
All right. See ya.